It all comes down to this. It's the season finale of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship here at the home of British motorsport, Silverstone. In both the Pro and Am classes, it's going to go down to the wire, and we're going to have all the action for you here on RaceSpotTV. It's Peter Mackay up in the virtual commentary booth alongside my partner in crime, Chaz Draycott. Chaz, we've had 8 seasons of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing, and I don't think it's ever been as tight as it is here.
Absolutely, Peter. It's fantastic to be at Silverstone for the finale of the championship, and wow, we have a real treat lined up for us tonight. We may have to get the calculators out and be doing maths on the fly, but it's that close in the championship that it's pretty much who finishes ahead of who. It's going to be quite a black and white scenario, I think, this evening, and this is how the championship looks coming here. Tiny margins, not just through the middle of the field, but at the very top at the sharp end as well.
Yeah, just 3 points separate your championship leader, Christian Tsuruta, from Johnny Cullen in the pro standings in the 963 GTP car. Mark Baxter-Jones still has a mathematical chance, but he will need Tsuruta and Cullen to hit problems. James Cummings, Rob Sharp and Lewis Archer, they're fighting over 4th place. And then there's still battles going on between Rob Miller, Chris Byram, Johnny Elia, and throw Byron Crawford in the mix there as well. So tightly contested all the way through the top 10 in Pro. In Am, well, arguably it's even tighter. Oliver Carradine, Drew Fletcher and Heinz Meyer all head into this 50-lap race with a huge chance of coming away as Porsche Club of Great Britain Am champion. Fausto Pinto, again, has a mathematical chance, but will need the others to hit big problems. Ralph Meyer is in 5th then. It's Ryan Penny, Andrew Shepherds, Alistair Hatchard, Alex Owen and Kim Such. Now, this endurance race to close off the season should throw up some new challenges for our drivers. 50 laps around this Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, and at the moment the Am drivers are out for their qualifying run, an open qualifying session, so you've got to try and get a little bit of clear air, but shouldn't be too much of a problem here at Silverstone, the wide expanses of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. 10 minutes each for each class. So the Ams go out first, and then the 963 prototypes driven by the pro drivers go out second for their 10-minute run. And with a lap as long as Silverstone is, Chaz, not much chance to get those runs in.
No, absolutely not. They've got very limited time here to get a decent time on the board. Obviously, they want to try and get what we call a banker lap in, just so they at least outdo the drivers that overstep track limits. There are a lot of places here. You mentioned wide expanses, but a lot of them really will catch you out in terms of track limits. There's a lot of curbs and runoffs in certain places, especially around this first sector of the track. I've never been a huge fan of this sort of newer cut through into the middle. I used to adore the likes of the Abbey chicane down to Bridge Corner. It was just absolutely amazing, and obviously we now go much further to the sort of infield of the track, but it does provide great racing and a lot of overtaking opportunities. That's the thing. But like you said, it's a long lap here, so traffic may not be an issue in qualifying or the race really. So I think it's going to be down to the drivers themselves, how they survive, and obviously with it being an endurance race, how they look after the car as well. They have to look after the tyres and the fuel.
Yeah, that's going to be a real interesting factor of what the tyre strategy is. Of course, both classes, they have a fuel limit. The GT3s driven by the Am drivers, they have a 65% fuel limit, which will hold them to approximately 40 minutes on a tank, and the GTP's 80% fuel limit, which will hold them to a very similar amount of time. And with the race expected to last it'll be around an hour and a half or so, it's going to make strategy very, very interesting indeed. So the Am drivers now on their warm-up laps, just getting up to speed. A few have already got onto their flying laps, trying to lay down that marker, and it's Oliver Carradine, your championship leader, now coming down into the club chicane. Carradine on a flyer here as well, so let's see what this first benchmark time is going to be for the 11/10 racing driver coming through the final part of club, and will set a time. Drew Fletcher top over the line so far with a 2:02.121. Carradine, only fourth so far, 0.491 of a second, and he's hit traffic on that second flyer there. Ryan Penny, no championship axe to grind, but let's see what he can do in this final race of the season.
Yeah, Ryan's always been up there in the AM class, hasn't he? He's one of the really quick drivers in the field, and he's certainly an exciting one to watch. He'll definitely get amongst it. He's not scared of having a battle with the other guys out there on track and really putting his nose down the inside to make the moves. We've seen over this season that some of them have been quite reserved in the way that they've been racing. But Ryan, you can always count on to be exciting and trying to punch forward regardless of what position he is in. He will try and gain another one where possible. So it's Drew Fletcher, Heinz Meyer, Kim Such, the top three at the moment. Ryan maybe just adjusting a few settings or something down the start for any... Oh, sorry, the back straight there didn't quite look like he was completely focused on where he was going, into the old Luffield section. I love this final corner. So many iconic shots of Formula One cars heading around the final corner there to take the checkered flag. Again, using all of that runoff on the left-hand side. We'll see the drivers cut this a lot as well, actually, as you come over the start of the old start-finish line, words Chaz. You will see them cut through there a lot, but you have to be on a fine margin there because there are some bollards that you can drive through. If you go through them too much, you will get a slowdown penalty. What about down here, though, Peter? Down the hanger straight into Stowe. Major overtaking opportunity, isn't it, around this circuit?
It's one of the best, I would say, to get a move done is into Stowe and potentially here into the club chicane as well. Watch out for those sausage curbs on either side there, and then try to carry as much speed through that final tricky right-hander. Carry it through, don't break the track limits, and then over the line. Heinz Meyer, does he improve? He does, a fraction into second, and let's...
Sorry, Peter, that was Drew. That was Drew going quicker. Drew's actually opened up the gap. It went just over 0.4 of a second, and now Kim Such has displaced Heinz Meyer in second position. Drew has now opened up his margin, 202.013. Carwadine will be round any moment. Actually, I think he's gone back through again. Fourth place for him, 0.599 off. Ryan Penny improves. Now Andrew Shepherd across the line instead. And doesn't look like a time on the board for Andrew Shepherd. Again, maybe just falling foul of track limits.
Yeah, it seems so. He'll need to get a move on. This will be his last opportunity to get that lap in. Otherwise, he'll be starting from the back of the pack. Not really where you want to be. You don't want to miss that leading train. That leading train of drivers. If you can stick in there, you're in the hunt in these endurance races. If you lose the scent of the leading pack, you just find yourself on the back foot for the rest of the day. So Fletcher on provisional pole position at the moment. He sits second in the championship, just 4 points behind Carwadine, who sits fourth on the grid provisionally right now. Kim Such coming through the incredible section of Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, and then out on to the hanger straight and underneath the Johnny Walker Bridge. Getting a good draft here from his teammate, the 990 of Ralph Meyer, but is he going to get a clean run to the flag here in Kim Such?
You'd hope so. It just depends on if the other guys back out of their lap, I suppose. Don't think they're that much slower than him around this final sector. That looked really smooth out of Stowe. It's Ralph Meyer, the next car ahead, then Heinz Meyer, the car behind him. Love the spec maps on these cars. They look really, really cool. The Oris Digital branding with that almost British racing green. The red stripes on them as well. They all run different coloured headlights. As Kim Such crosses the line. Doesn't look like an improvement for him, 0.356 off. Here comes Ryan Penny. He's in a bit of a hybrid livery of the two, isn't he, Ryan? He was in the fully black and yellow livery that Carl Hazelton's been running in the Real World Porsche Club of Great Britain Racing Series. Carwadine's now gone second fastest. Can Penny get up there amongst it as well for the final race of the season? He's crossed the line, 0.611 of a second off. It doesn't look like he improves. Andrew Shepherd, the only one without a valid time on the board until now, just less than 2.5 seconds off. Whoa, that made me jump.
Carwadine's got himself up to second place and an opportunity to try and pinch pole from Drew Fletcher, and this would be a psychological hammer blow if Carwadine can get this done. Round he goes, round Brooklands, past the British Racing Drivers Club, and then the Luffield, the endless right-hander, which never seems to finish, and then finally you can get... Oh, that's it gone. That's it gone. So Carwadine, that will be A lap invalidated there, you would expect. You would think.
I think he's just keeping it pinned. Just get back in the pits as quickly as possible now, if anything.
Yeah, get out the way before the prototypes come on.
Yeah, definitely. That's surely outside of track limits, that is. Still, I suppose it's an extra lap of practice for the next sector of the circuit. You may as well get them in while you can.
Yeah, get a warm-up, get a feeling for the track conditions. So Ryan Penny then, 5th on the grid at the moment. Can he come up with something and put himself as a little bit of a spanner in the works for the AM Championship contenders? Of course, Ryan, a former champion in the AM class, and doing a little bit of track work recently with his new 992 GT3, and now it's yellow. I don't think it's speed yellow. I don't know which exact shade of yellow it is, but it's very nice, whatever it is.
Oh, it's a mighty tasty car. Very, very tasty indeed. There's a lot of the details inside the car also matched in the same yellow as well. It's so cool with the carbon bucket seats as well. It's just an awesome bit of kit, much like this version of the 992 as well, the GT3R, Porsche's latest GT3 racing machine. And a very potent one at that. It's a lot bigger than it used to be. It's a lot flatter and wider. And unfortunately for Ryan, that doesn't mean that it goes any quicker on the final lap of the session for him. Andrew Shepherd crosses the line. He improves by the tiniest margin, but it's time for these beautiful things to head out on the circuit in just a moment, Peter. The Porsche 963s, the Pro class with the amazing hypercars that they are. And the lap times here are going to be significantly different. What are we thinking? Maybe 15 seconds a lap quicker?
Thereabouts, yeah. We were seeing a sort of 1:44 in practice, playing sort of just over 2 minutes for the Pro, for the AM class drivers in the GT cars. So number one, Johnny Cullen, defending champion, of course, sitting there waiting to do his qualifying run. But the AM drivers, they've completed their qualifying run. So now it's the turn of the pros, who wait for that 10-minute to go sign, and Johnny Cullen wants to get himself into the front of the queue. Paul Goffin for the Sim Racing magazine team with the throwback colours to the new man Porsche. It was driven in the Group C days by none other than Ayrton Senna. Amazing looking car, absolutely amazing. It really, and the thing is as well, is that these 963s, they seem to suit any kind of livery. I mean, we've got the golden Hertz livery there that Mark Johnson runs in this class, and even the sort of more, I don't want to call it messy, but you know, it's a lot of a busier design, the CXR livery that we see Johnny Cullen, our reigning champion, running for this season. It still suits the car's curves and its very smooth edges. Still somehow a sort of a spiky and busy livery like that is very, very well matched to it. We have some great shots here from our producer Hugo as we wait for the second part of qualifying to get underway. And the drivers at this point of the night, Peter, will still be feeling all the pressure, won't they, knowing that they've got a long evening ahead of them. They will, for sure. And Cullen clearly not wanting to take any chances, get himself to the front of the queue and get on with it. Mark Johnson's right there in behind to get a run at things. Christian Cerruta, as usual, is in a fully relaxed mode. He's maybe going to make himself a cup of tea, maybe a little bit of buttered crumpet with jam for a little bit of sugar boost. I don't know, that was a very random thought, but yeah. I was going to say this time of night. Who doesn't love a buttered crumpet with jam? I don't know anybody that doesn't, Peter. Fantastic item, especially. So you like a bit of crumpet as much as I do? I love me a bit of crumpet, Peter. Trust me, been single over a year now. But it's been a long day, and it's been a very hot day actually where I am in the UK. Anyway, it's been really muggy today, so I wonder if any of the drivers are feeling that as well. Actually, it gets very hot in the sim, so you need to try and stay cool as best you can. I'm not sure a crumpet would do so, but it's each to their own. Yeah, that's the only thing, isn't it? Yeah, the crumpet is because you got to toast it, don't you? Oh yeah. And then you get the butter to melt, and then the jam. And it goes everywhere. It does, yes, it does. As the flying bogey lingers in the background here, Christian Cerruta making his way into the queue. The two 11/10 cars of Byron Crawford and Johnny Elia. They're all ready to go.
I was wondering whether Tsuruta was going to go all the way down on that red line then and just line up next to Johnny Cullen as a bit of a mind game down at the end of the pit lane. We've seen them start side by side at the end of the pit lane before, but seemingly he's not playing any of those games tonight. He's stopping Rob Miller from getting out of his box though, which is a bit of a strange one. Now he's moving forward. Going to move along to where Paul Goffin is. Actually, is he going to do it? He is going to do it. He is going to do it.
Is he listening?
Oh, just as it goes to 10 minutes.
Oh, that's genius.
Christian,
that's a piece of genius.
That's naughty. You know what? The audacity must be on sale, as one of my friends said the other day. It must be on sale, because that is... I don't think we've seen anything like that before. Oh, I love that. Oh, I've not got any other words. I love that.
Don't work hard, work smart. My dad used to say.
Yeah.
That was genius. That was absolutely genius there. From, I mean, he timed it perfectly to the millisecond, just as it clicked. 9 minutes 59 over the line he went, and Cullen's going, "Oh, you've got me there." So, but he has to get on with it. He has to get the tyres up to temperature, up to pressure, push to make sure that he's not overtaken, and get everything up to temperature correctly. The track temperature is very friendly right now, 23 degrees Celsius. The other thing you could say though, Chaz, is all he could do here is give Cullen a tow.
That's very true. You don't always want to be the car in front, and if Cullen is quick enough to stick with him on this lap and wants to also push, I mean, it looks like he is as well. He's not too far behind him. Tsuruta could have put himself in a bit of a compromised situation here. He might have to back out of this one, I think, if he doesn't want to give Cullen the tow, because he's very, very close. I think Cullen, for the first lap, maybe will probably back out a little bit. Look at the direction change of that thing. It's like a Scale Electric or an AFX. Do you remember Aurora AFX? It's like one of them cars, isn't it? Just this tiny little thing that's like a housefly. Cullen has backed off, though, so he's not trying to take advantage of the slipstream. There's a few parts of this circuit, really, though, Peter, especially through the likes of Maggotts and Beckett's, where you wouldn't really want to be right behind another car, because the aero wash in these 963s is huge, isn't it?
It is, yes, it is. It's a bit of a balance of not getting that aero wash through the corners, but being close enough to pick up a little bit of a slipstream. Well, our two championship contenders out on to their first flying laps then. Let's see who is going to take it. We've seen several times this season Christian Tsuruta put in his fastest lap at the very end of qualifying and pinching pole position from Johnny Cullen at the final moment. Let's see what it's going to be this time. They've both got clean air. They've both cleared the traffic. Let's see what they can do. Christian Tsuruta in the Manthey Racing colours, the joint record holders at the Nürburgring, 24 hours. This is not a car we'll likely see racing at that event, as cool as that would be. Imagine that.
Oh, I'd love to see the lap time.
Yeah, well, yes, I would, yeah. And trying to make its way past the Dacia Logan going around Metzgesfeld, that would be entertaining. Or calamitous, maybe one or the other.
Depends whether you're the driver or a spectator.
Yeah, quite right. Yeah, so all the drivers using exactly the same setup. It's a fixed setup rule here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain. That applies to both the Pro Class and the AM. So the AM drivers are using, in fact, they're both at effectively a high downforce setup. So interesting there. In fact, high downforce for the GT3Rs and baseline for the GTPs. So actually a little bit less downforce, sort of somewhere in the middle for the GTPs. So they should have good straight line speed as well as decent boogie through the corner. So there's no fiddling about with setups, and I think that's the right call. I mean, not everyone has the time to do endless testing and finding little tiny milliseconds here and there. I think everyone's got the same setup and just have at it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the way to go for league racing, non iRacing, you know. And when it gets to the real top end of things, when you're talking about like the full esports competitions, like the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, you know, that's when, sure, the teams and the drivers can put time into a setup, get the car how they want it. That's part and parcel. When it comes to league racing and people do this weekly, and, you know, a lot of the time they do it just for fun, because we do this because we love real racing and we want to simulate it as closely as we can, as Rob Miller decides that is enough of that lap and he's going to start again in the 999 machine straight back to the pits. But yeah, having a fixed setup it makes it more about the drivers as well, which is really cool to see. You know, that they're all in equal equipment. It keeps the racing closer as well, and it stops us having to speculate and guess on who's done what with the setup, because you can't always see it. It's not always visually represented here on iRacing from one sim to the next. As we ride on board now with Christian Tsuruta, very, very busy part of the circuit there as you come out of Chapel down towards the Hangar Straight into Stowe. Long right-hander, quite a late apex here. And then you want to get away from that apex all the way over to the left, use a lot of the road, open it up into the club chicane. Very clumsy part of the track for these cars, that huge curb on the inside, another one on the right, and then that horrible sausage curb on the left. We're going to see drivers clip that one tonight, aren't we, Peter? That's just a given there. Dip a left wheel on that and someone's going to go around.
Yeah, we see it a lot, don't we? We see it a lot for sure, and whoa, full commitment through Abbey and into village section, hard on the brakes then, and then through the little loop section here. Very, very tricky in the prototypes. They just don't want to turn there at all. But Tsuruta fastest, 143.9.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job there. Nearly half a second ahead of Johnny Cullen now. Rob Miller holds on to third place. Byron Crawford just puts the time in and goes up into 7th place. Paul Goffin moving himself into 10th. Lewis Archer up into 4th. Good to see Lewis back at the sharp end. James Cummings once again showing us just how quick he is all season long. He's been another driver that's right in it. Mark Baxter-Jones unfortunately losing a bit of ground in the championship after missing around. Cummings goes second fastest there, 0.337 off pole. That's a fantastic lap from him. Rob Sharp next up. It's not often you see these cars get sideways, is it, Peter? They are absolutely glued to the road or having a colossal accident, and it's not often you get to see them drift like that. That was amazing.
Yeah, they definitely, when they're at that high speeds, if it begins to break away and there's no catching it, you maybe get a little bit more slithering on those early on that early application of a throttle out of a slow corner. But yeah, if it begins to snap on you mid corner, you are in for an aeroplane crash. At that point, they're just the limit is so high with these cars. The aerodynamic grip is massive, and yes, but if it runs out, you're in the you're off into the undergrowth, so to speak. So Tsuruta on top from Cummings, 0.337, and well, for Cullen, he really will want to be up on the front row. Anywhere on the front row is good. Second row, not a disaster, but you want a nice clear view. You want to not let your big rival get away. And Cullen is on. It looks like he's on a kind of build lap here.
Yeah.
And he's going to try and get out the way. Yeah, he's trying to get out the way here, but are those tyres going to be dirty? Oh, that's not getting out the way at all. That was poor. That was really poor. I mean, he's not going to get a proper run on there, but came right out in front of Lewis Archer. That's not on.
No, I think the intention was there to do the right thing, but the execution was not quite what he wanted. So unfortunately, affecting another lap there, and also really not giving himself a great run out the final corner. Here's Rob Miller, one of the drivers that's been right up against it this season. Really trying, and has had a pole position or two, if I remember rightly. Just hasn't quite had the races come together. We spoke to him last time round at Circuit of the Americas, and there you go, second fastest in the 999 machine, flying through that first corner. I can't believe the direction change of these cars. That puts Johnny Cullen down in 4th place, Chris Byron 5th ahead of Rob Sharp, and it's Lewis Archer, Johnny Elia, Mark Baxter-Jones in 9th, and Byron Crawford completing the 10 at the moment. But Cullen will definitely want to improve. I think it'll be the lap after this one where we see him do that, though, Peter. I don't think this one, unless he does something really special, will come together.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the time. Yeah, he does have enough time to get around. Yes, he'll just have one more lap to do. So yeah, he's kind of just got to get on with this. This lap, I don't think will do much because he just didn't get the right run onto the start finish. But let's see what Johnny Cullen can do, starting on the second row of the grid. So like I say, not a disaster, but not what he wants to see, and certainly not being 4/10 of a second off Christian Tsuruta in such a tight championship battle. That's quite a margin to be giving away, but let's see. We could be surprised here as he comes over the line. 144.3, so yeah, fairly similar time there. So he stays fourth. This is going to have to be the lap then. This is it, all or nothing for our defending champion, Johnny Cullen, but he's coming across big traffic here. Got one of the 11-10s car, I think that's Brian Crawford right ahead. He's holding his own. In fact, a big slide there coming out of the loop. And Crawford driving away from him here as they come through Aintree and on to the Wellington Straight past the British Racing Drivers Club on the right. They're sipping away on the virtual champagne there and doffing their virtual cravats.
And I was going to say defluffing the virtual tweed suits.
Oh, definitely the tweeds, yes.
Oh, all the tweeds.
Spilling soup down the spilling virtual soup down the virtual club ties.
Yeah, that cost more than probably my entire outfit right now. That was wide for Cullen. This has not been the session he would have wanted, and I think he's just backed out. Yeah, he's backed out of that. That's it. Cullen will start from 4th at best in the season finale. That is not what we were expecting to see at all, but just goes to show, doesn't it? Having these sessions like this, you have to be in the right place at the right time, and Johnny Cullen has not taken advantage of this one at all.
No, he hasn't. That's an interesting one. Rob Miller is second at the moment. Can Rob Miller pinch pole position from Saruta? Saruta's done. He's in the pits. So this is now down to Rob Miller. Can he find the time in this 999 machine with the alternative Penske livery? Swapping the red out for yellow. It looks really fantastic. Down.
Sorry, I was going to say it's got hints of the old RS Spider about it in a weird way. It's sort of like a mix of the two. I don't quite think that was track limits there, Peter, unfortunately.
No. So he's pulled out of it there. Has Rob Miller, so he will do no better than second. Do we have anybody else out there able to make a move? Our championship contender, Saruta, on pole, championship leader on pole. Cummings, he sits in 4th in the championship and he sits in 3rd on the grid in the Flying Calippo. Calippo comes in to park up in the freezer.
He nearly melted the thing. He was going that quickly in that session, though. Cummings is, once again, to be fair, I mean, since the very first season, he's constantly improved, and now he's a consistent front runner at the sharp end of the field, isn't he? And he's once again done that with 3rd place. Rob Miller, brilliant up there too. But again, this season has been that close, hasn't it, Peter, that we never know who is going to be where when it comes to either class. There's such a mix of about 5 or 6 drivers in each one that could win a race.
There is. It's going to be fantastic. 50 laps of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. It's going to be a cracker. They've been racing here since the 2nd of October 1948. An old World War II airfield converted for motorsport. It's been owned by the British Racing Drivers Club since 1951. The first event here, the RAC International Grand Prix. A certain Murray Walker was present as a fan, and well, the rest is history, as they say. A brief warm-up session then for our drivers. The grid positions are set. This is purely a kind of familiarization session to get used to conditions before heading out for the race. Strategy-wise, Chaz, what do we think with the 80% fuel limit for the GTPs and the 65% fuel limit for the GT3s? What are we expecting?
I don't think we're going to get a colossal amount of pit stops. In terms of the fuel saving around here, I think there's a lot of places where the drivers can lift and coast. And obviously with the slipstream being quite important here as well, there's going to be a mix of drivers wanting to just take track position and disappear off down the road and try and get into some clear air. But there's going to be a lot of drivers as well that you will see sitting behind the car in front and not making any major moves to get by. They're going to try and just elongate the first stint as much as possible, because then you can reverse engineer your race, figure out how much fuel you'll need for when. And again, it's one of the sort of talents that we always talk about with these drivers. You know, they're doing the maths on the fly a lot of the time and getting the fuel numbers figured out, what they need to do to make it to the end of the race with an extra lap in the bank, or just without doing an extra stop, for example, or spending shorter time in the pit lane. So that's what it's all about here, is being as stationary as little as possible in the pit lane. And I think this is going to be a place where it can be quite easy to fuel save, like I say. But the drivers themselves, They need to be on that. If you're going to go for that sort of strategy, though, that's the thing. You have to be on it straight away, don't you? You can't linger around and sort of change to that strategy later on.
It's going to be fascinating, really fascinating to see how it all plays out. And in terms of race times, interesting one. 50 laps is the distance here, with around a minute and 45 for each GTP lap, which of course will set the ultimate pace. So I reckon we're going to be just under an hour and a half to the race, and with a circa 40 minute tank, that would usually mean two pit stops, but the last pit stop could be a potentially very short splash and dash.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, very interesting how that one will go.
And that's when it's always more interesting for us as well on the outside of things, because the drivers then can make a big difference by just saving one lap of fuel. You know, it's a long lap around here, so it's difficult to save that much, but if people do it, it'll make a huge difference to their strategy if they have to sit in the pit lane for a couple of seconds less than the drivers around them and not have to, you know, take on that extra fuel just to make it to the end of the race. That's where the main pivot point is going to be. So let alone the first stint being important, the second one could be even more important as well, because the drivers then, you know, they spend the time establishing where they are, who they're battling, who they're up against, what strategies they're up against as well. And then in that second stint is when they really react to it and try and figure out who they need to overtake and when.
So just over a minute and a half then in this warm-up session before we get going for 50 laps here to close off the 8th season of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship. James Cummings, ever present at the front of the field in the Flying Calippo and running the helmet colours of the late great Marco Simoncelli, who sadly passed away in 2011. A very special motorcycle racer, a real hero of many, was taken from us too early to show his absolute full, or to realise his full potential. He certainly showed us what his potential was, and that's very cool there from James Cummings. A little blend of 2 and 4 wheels, which of course we see both of here at Silverstone, both MotoGP and Formula 1 race here. See, Silverstone MotoGP is very cool. There it is. There's the Simoncelli helmet. You almost can't see that helmet without the big curly hair sticking out the back of it.
No, absolutely. It almost looked like some form of mullet when he used to wear it, didn't it? Because of how he had to have it all back. Bless him, an absolute star. And of course, the Misano World Circuit named after Marco Simoncelli as well. There's an amazing amount of memorabilia and images and signed memorabilia as well within the media centre and all the offices at Misano. It's a fantastic place to go and see, and it's really a massive shrine to the guy. You know, he was so appreciated, and it's lovely to see that. But it's almost time to get cracking now, Peter, for the final race of the season. Can't believe we're already at this point. It's flown by once again, and I can't even believe it's been 8 seasons. It's incredible.
It is. This is how they will roll off for the season finale. Christian Tsuruta looking to reclaim the crown as the champion of the Porsche Club of Great Britain's Sim Racing Championship. Rob Miller will start on the front row with James Cummings and Johnny Cullen starting on row 2. Chris Byram and Mark Baxter-Jones are your third row. Then fourth row is Byron Crawford and Rob Sharp with Lewis Archer and Johnny Elia rounding out the top 10. Stuart Clark and Mark Johnson make up row 6. Paul Goffin will start in 13th. In the AM class, it's Drew Fletcher on pole position by 0.2 of a second from Oliver Carbadine, with Kim Such and Heinz Meyer on row 2. Then it's Ryan Penny and Alex Jones crossing out row 3. Then it's Ralph Meyer, Alistair Hatcher, Andrew Shepherd and Alex Owen in the Targa Florio throwback car in 10th. So the drivers making their way to, not quite to the grid, to the start of the very short parade behind the pace car here at Silverstone. Ideal conditions, 22 degrees Celsius track temperature, and just gone 7 o'clock in sim time. And in British summertime, nothing better than racing towards the sun going down. Fantastic. They get rolling then on the Hanger Straight and slowly around Stowe, the slowest that they'll go around that corner for the next 50 laps. So not much time to get temperature and pressure into the tyres, and indeed get a little bit of heat into the brakes. Be straight into it for that flat out run through Abbey, and then hard on the brakes for that almost right angle right-hander at Village, the new section of Silverstone which opened in 2010. So Christian Tsuruta
Green flag,
waiting for his opportunity. Green flag is in the air, and off we go. We're racing, and look at Cullen from the middle of the second row of the grid, trying to make his way through, but has to pull out of it. Tsuruta leads then from Rob Miller, and there's a little bit of a gap back to Cullen, and Cummings is in the wall. Cummings is in the wall. He gets turned around, manages to keep it going, but surely that car is damaged. But he just got completely turned around. Oh, pirouettes with the Rusty Rose car of Stuart Clark. Rob Sharp's off. He's lost his rear wing. Oh, it's a 963 touring for Rob Sharp. It's absolute chaos in the pros. Meanwhile, the AMs are all teachers' pets and making their way around safely.
Yeah, absolutely. Drew Fletcher leading the way there. Oliver Carwadine in second position in class. And it's Kim Such, Heinz Meyer and Ryan Penny, the top five. Rob Sharp with a lot of damage, and it looks like one of the 11 tenths cars in trouble as well. It's Mark Baxter-Jones just recovering through Luffield. I think he was the other car involved with Cummings. They just came together that slight bit, and it speared Cummings off into the barrier. Absolutely lobbed him at the wall, and you can see another 11 tenths car there with damage as well, really having a problem. Trying to pick up on which one of them that was. Byron Crawford, that is, that isn't able to get the car to behave itself. That is such a shame, but nearly championship deciding stuff for Johnny Cullen, as he made contact with James Cummings just after the start finish line, and now it's Rob Miller that leads the race outright from Tsuruta.
Yeah, change for the lead then. So Miller ahead of Tsuruta, exactly. And now Johnny Cullen is back on the case, having just lost a little bit in those opening few corners. But Miller is up for this one. He wants to sign off his Porsche Club of Great Britain debut season with a victory here at Silverstone in this endurance round. And not too far behind them is Chris Byram as well. So it's Miller from Tsuruta, from Cullen, from Byram as they complete lap one and head up towards Village for the second time. And here comes the graveyard in the pit lane. Roxy the Dinosaur's in there already for Alex Jones, and so is Stuart Clark and James Cummings making their way to the pits. What happened to Roxy? Oh, dental job.
Another one. She's had a few teeth removed this season as Roxy, and that was a massive hit for Alex Johns. He goes straight back into the pit lane. He'll be waiting for that thing to tow. It's very likely that we'll see him back out on circuit, though. It's a long old race. You've got to be in it to win it. You may as well get back out there and see what points you can score over the course of the night. Really intrigued. I think it might have been actually Chris Byram that made contact with James Cummings. The two of them ran really wide through the left-hander at the start of the lap, through Farm Curve, and then I think as they try to recuperate and get back on, yes, look, Byram just hits the back of him, and how on earth Cummings didn't go into the side of the car to his left, I don't know. He went straight across the nose of that machine, and that was very scary indeed. And then the further contact was, yeah, Stuart Clark, Byron Crawford down there, Rob Sharp, Lewis Archer. This is how it came about. It's down the inside. Oh, I don't think Rob knew that the car was down his inside there. Is that... Didn't quite see the number. It was Byron Crawford. Tried to outbrake Rob down the inside, and this is what happened to Baxter Jones later on in the lap. He's got damage, I think, from a bit of shenanigans down there. Got to be so careful with the rejoin. And then Byron Crawford had the same look. Wow.
Yeah, his car's ruined after that. Yeah, that's not good. I have to get back in and get some repair. So it's Chris Bynum who picked one little fight. I hope his mum hasn't got scared after that. But James Cummings will be livid about that. Expecting corner two to get punted out the race. It's just the worst feeling in the world. So no touch problem up the front though. Rob Miller looking very comfortable indeed. Tsuruta looking steady so far with Cullen right behind. Now, I don't if in order, if we calculate this, in order to get home on one stop, So I reckon we're going to be 87.5 minutes. So an hour and 27 minutes. That's what I think this race is going to go to. So you need to get to about, I think you need to get to 44 minutes completed to get home on just one stop. So, that's going to be difficult for a GTP car with an 80% fuel limit, but perhaps not impossible. So are we seeing Tsuruta and Cullen playing the fuel game already?
I think they will do in this first stint. They know that now they're so close to each other on circuit, they don't want to risk anything. They don't want to throw the kitchen sink at each other. We've seen them for the last 2 rounds of the championship save that till the final lap when they've had some epic battles. Tsuruta has come out on top both times, and this time Cullen will want to turn the tables in regards to that result. Rob Sharp making his way past the AMP drivers. That was Ryan Penny turned around. I think he thought he'd cleared him. He just came across the front of him, and with iRacing's latest damage model, unfortunately, it's often the car behind that comes off worse. I don't know. That was a weird one, that. Ryan didn't run particularly wide or anything, but Rob didn't really leave all the room either.
No, this is the thing with multi-class racing. There can often be misunderstandings between the prototypes and the GT cars. Around 15 seconds per lap between them, so it's a big difference. You're talking around a second a corner if you think of it that way. So there is big difference in how they make up their lap time, particularly through a fast corner. You'll see a huge difference. There's very slow corners, not so much, but the fast corners are really when the prototypes, their superior aerodynamics really make a difference. And horsepower wise, there's a very big difference too. You're around 500 horsepower depending on the balance of performance setting for the GTs, kicking on for 670 horsepower in the prototype. So it's it's a different beast altogether. It's got a little bit of early mixing up of the order between the GTs and prototypes as Drew Fletcher leads in the AM class from Oliver Carbadine, but ironically it's Carbodine's stablemate Mark Baxter-Jones, the delayed Mark Baxter-Jones, trying to make his way through, but being very considerate there is MBJ.
I think that was Byron Crawford actually with the purple highlights on the car.
Was it?
Just making his way back round.
Its Lumi rank system is broken then, because it said 8 on the side. And that's Mark Baxter-Jones, but that's
position.
It's Byron Crawford. Yes. No. But the thing position did say 8.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
Yes.
That's weird.
That is strange. So maybe that's where he was on the previous lap, and then it's not updated yet.
Yeah, that's very true. I've had some information from a good friend of mine, Dan McCauley. He's crew chiefing and helping Drew Fletcher at the minute, our good friend, and he said that the one stop is possible in a GT3 car, but it's pretty hard. They need to save about 0.3 or 0.4 of a litre per lap, less than a full push lap. So he doesn't know if any of the drivers are really going to go for that around this circuit this evening. We'll wait and see what happens. We've got Drew still leading the way, but he's not got a gap over Carbadine in second position. Carbadine less than a second behind him, so he's in slipstream range there, and that could help him save fuel if he wants to fancy this different strategy, I guess. Yeah,
well, that is very interesting. Thank you, Dan, for that insight. So we reckon one pit stop for GT cars and a mega fuel save to make it happen on a GTP if possible.
Yes, it would be possible to do a one stop, but like a massive effort to. How many litres
did you say it was? Per
0.3
lap?
or 0.4 litres per lap.
As a frugal Scotsman, I think anything's possible.
You'll haggle with the fuel tank.
Whack it in neutral on the way through, down the hills.
Kim Such.
Turn the aircon off.
Yeah, definitely turn the aircon off. Can't be having any of that.
You're not putting the seat heater on. No. Put a jumper on. Actually, no, make it a really lightweight jumper at that. Yeah.
Put a jumper on.
Yeah. Put the lube before you get in the car. That might help.
Yeah.
There's just a little bit of sparring going on here between Tsuruta and Cullen. They're trying to figure one another out here. They can go quicker than this, no question about it. There's at no point this year have you really seen Rob Miller clear away, and that's, don't get me wrong, Rob Miller's been the real next best of the rest, I would say, in terms of pure pace, but never has he been able to pull away from Tsuruta and Cullen. Cullen and Tsuruta are usually the two drivers who pull away from everyone else. That's been really the form guide, and I just think they're just sizing one another up. But over the last few races, Tsuruta's been the guy who's just been devastatingly good through traffic, just that little bit more decisive. He's on the headlight flasher here as they come into Maggots and Beckett's, and Hatcher and Cullen have a big disagreement there, and Cullen into the side of Hatcher into the side of Cullen, and he's lost it again. And through comes Byram. So it's a disaster for Johnny Cullen. Now, does he have damage? There was not one, but two pieces of contact there. Johnny Cullen's on the headlight flasher. He's trying to get past Alistair Hatcher. And oh my words.
I'm not sure whether that was in a little bit of retaliation to get that close there or not, but that didn't look savoury at all. But wow. That was, I think the second one might have been the fact the tyres were so overheated and it just wanted to break away again. But that was terrifying, and how he didn't have a full spin there, I don't know. To be fair to Hatcher, he just naturally ran wide, and then Cullen didn't have the stopping power once he'd been on the grass to get on with it again. And then, I think it just lights up the rears. That's a fantastic save, though. It's what we call a screenshot save. You press every single pedal in the car, just slam every input, let go of the wheel, and it'll straighten up. But wow. That was potentially a race-defining moment there, and championship-defining moment as well. Miller's gone very deep into the club chicane, and look at that by Tsuruta. What a move for the race lead. That is around the final corner. He says, have one of them, Rob. Thank you very much. Through he goes, and Tsuruta flips this race completely on its head, as still there's battling going on with Lewis Archer and Paul Goffin, I believe, in there as well. Mark Baxter-Jones in that fight with them, so good to see Mark didn't get major damage early on. But wow. That's how quickly the tables can turn. They were right together before that. One bit of traffic messes up Johnny Cullen, and then Tsuruta gets the lead.
Yeah, Tsuruta is definitely in these situations is when he's at his best. Those kind of instinctive calls.
Sorry.
My word.
I'm so
those kind
sorry.
of instinctive calls are so important. And as Lewis Archer, gotta get passed around the around the outside by Mark Baxter-Jones. That's an amazing move, but. And you see Byron Crawford in the mix as well. Paul Goffin, goes through on Lewis Archer, but Archer's had an issue there. He just lost a bit of momentum. But yeah, coming back to Tsuruta, he's just so good in these instinctive situations. A former Caterham racer, and that really shows in that kind of hand-to-hand combat. And Cullen was just desperately unlucky there. He kind of he was making the pass round the outside, and the door was just slammed in his face. Not in any malicious way at all, just Alistair Archer just going through his line and what have you. And I just don't think that Cullen expected to have the door shut on him so hard, and did well to avoid a complete disaster. And that is the thing, he has avoided the disaster. He's 6 seconds off Tsuruta, not a total nightmare. Lap 8 of a 50-lap race. Still plenty time to go.
Yeah, that was absolutely balmy stuff. And I mean, Mark Baxter-Jones on that half lap that we saw then was absolutely on fire. He was really throwing everything at it. Made it 3 wide, went through the middle, scared the life out of all of us. And then round the outside at Copse, the commitment to do that, unreal. Absolutely unreal. And he was really making sure that he gained those places back and got back through the order. Just trying to look at some championship points, because we get different points for the endurance races. In the feature races you get 25 points for a win, then it's 22, 20, 18 and so on. In the endurance races you get 30 for a win, 26 for second. So instead of gaining 3 points on the car in second place, you gain 4 in these races. So the race win could be all important, because that position, naturally, in a championship, will give you a bigger boost in points over anybody else behind you. And looking at the likes of the AM Championship right now, Carwadine is 4 points ahead of Drew Fletcher, and Drew is 1 position ahead of him, which will give him, funnily enough, 4 points. I think on countback, we'd be looking at Drew Fletcher with 3 victories and then obviously a fourth if he wins this, taking the title, even though they'd be tied on points. If you look at the pro class, well, it's definitely Saruta's at the moment. He's already in front of the championship. And Cullen needs to win this race with Saruta in second place if he is to take the title. After that, there has to be multiple cars between them with Johnny Cullen in front for him to win. Saruta could very happily just finish, even if he's in third place. If Cullen's second, he still wins the title.
So Saruta at the moment is looking good for him, as Alistair Hatcher getting into more scuffles here. This time with someone in his class, Ralph Meyer, side by side with him as they come through towards, oh dear, come through towards Abbey. Super quick through there. And Hatcher has to give best to Meyer, but is he going to try and fight back here? He's showing the intent as he looks down the inside. He's going for it. Big lunge. And he's given the room very cleverly by Meyer there as well. And Hatcher trying everything he can to get around. Now James Cummings come onto the scene in the orange Porsche 963, and he's having to just blend out the throttle and get back on the power and going by, and he's not taking any chances, is James Cummings. That's leaving a little bit more than a car's width, you'd say.
Yeah, he's definitely not taking chances there. Certainly making sure that he's playing it safe as we look at Andrew Shepherd in the Scuderia Chicken House car, one of the best liveries and team names that we've ever seen in the series. He's trying to get past Alex Owen at this point. Alex in the Gulf-inspired livery in front. And just behind the two of them, Ryan Penny, who's recovering from his earlier contact with Rob Sharp, who's actually, funnily enough, just gone back past him once again. I'll have a bit of PTSD as Rob goes by. Down the inside into Copse. Horrible corner in any car is Copse because it's off camber and really, really high speed. So it's not one where you can make many adjustments, especially on a sort of medium to low downforce setup. You don't want to be jabbing away at the throttle or the brakes mid-corner there because you will over-rotate the car. Then you need a well-set-up car for this section, don't you, Maggots and Beckett's? The weight transfer is so important. Penny's got a run here down the hanger straight, down towards Stowe.
So 10 laps completed then of this 50-lap finale. And the gap is staying fairly steady now between our two top championship protagonists, Saruta and Cullen. It's just still hovering around that 6-second mark. So despite having the tyres overheat a little, he's able to maintain the pace, which is good news, because sometimes once the tyre overheats, it's impossible to get it back down again.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's much easier to heat the tyre up than it is to cool it, so they need to be very aware of that when they're on a bit of a push and when they're having a battle with one another. There's a lot of corners on this circuit as well that really will shred those tyres, especially in the high-speed sections, and I mean in the likes of the 963 as well. You're going to be scrubbing those tyres a lot, trying to just get the car to behave itself. The GT3 cars will potentially spin up the rears a little bit. They've got very, very sophisticated traction control of GT3 cars, but even then the drivers sometimes run them a little bit loose so that the car isn't limiting what they do. This looks like quite a good recovery so far from Ryan Penny, getting past Andrew Shepherd, and now I assume he's going to look down the inside of the car in front. Alex Owen is trying to sort of scare him into a mistake at this point. Into Luffield once more. I think the red headlights would do that alone. It looks very, very mean. Down towards the old start-finish straight once again. And around the final corner. Love that shot of them heading through there. The high-speed section to the right. Ryan Penny on the inside. Ooh, ducks in. I thought there was an overlap then. That scared me a little bit. Very, very close stuff. But Ryan clearly got the pace here. We know he's one of the quickest drivers in the AM class, don't we, Peter? He's shown it time and time again. He's been a champion of this class before. Now he just needs to get on a recovery charge, unfortunately. Yeah, there's plenty of time to try and make those moves up, and especially in the AM class, you're going to see a little bit more of attrition in there too, so you can see them getting picked up. The battle's still going on between Hatcher and Meyer over fifth. Oh, Hatcher just toughs it out around the outside. Ooh, breaking the track limits a bit. He might get a slowdown penalty for that, you know. Will Alistair Hatcher in the 964 holding Meyer at bay for now, as Owen battling away with Ralph Meyer and Ryan Penny.
And Ryan Penny right in behind him. Oh, there, and Andrew Shepherd not too far away, but here, oh dear, thought that Ryan Penny was going to make a move there on Owen, but Owen's holding his own here, really keeping the former champion at bay.
Holding his own, you could say. At this point, but Ryan, late on the brakes, a bit too late on the brakes, overdoes it, doesn't compensate for the car in front, braking a little bit earlier. This is the thing when there's a slight difference in pace between two drivers. You have to be ready to compensate. Now Alex Owen a little bit ruffled by that, as eventually ended up losing the position. I was so scared that car was going to break away from him there on the grass as he was on the throttle, but he loses 2 positions now as Andrew Shepherd goes through as well, up into 8th place, and Penny can try and use that clear air in front of him, go chasing down Alistair Hatcher. Alistair, another one, isn't he, that's always been quick at the sharp end of the order, just not quite going his way so far tonight.
No, it's been an eventful day. It must be said. Unfortunately, Alex Owen there losing a couple of positions there in that duck egg blue and orange car. There was he went so wide there was a gulf between him and the apex.
Sorry, I did laugh then, but I'd muted my microphone. I do apologise.
Just raw style.
It didn't go over my head. I enjoyed that one.
I'll
Sorry,
take your word for it.
I muted my mic then to have a quick drink for a second. I do apologise. As Zaruta coming through here nearly hits the back of the number 16 machine. Here are the leaders, and that's Rob Miller now saying, go on then, I'll have a bit of that as well. Tucks into the slipstream of the number 7 previous champion, Christian Zaruta. Won the series in Season 6. Johnny Cullen won it in Season 7. And now either one of them could take the title again here tonight. We've seen these races flip one way then the other very quickly. Lap 12 out of 50 here, Peter, getting to about the quarter mark of this race so far. Sun setting here at Silverstone. It should be pretty much complete darkness by the time we're finished, which will be really exciting to see. I wonder whether, for some drivers, whether they'll have sort of any issues with the sunlight later on. With iRacing's lighting as it is, when you have some of the HDR effects on, you get a big lens flare from the sun sometimes. I know some of the drivers that race in VR, when it's a wider field of view, definitely have problems with it, so that's even a factor here in the sim. That's how realistic it is, but we'll have to keep our eye on that. The reflections and everything are absolutely glorious though with iRacing's day and night cycle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It's you can switch it off, particularly if your computer's not quite at a high spec. You get big moment there for Zaruta coming through Luffield. Just as he asked for the power, it just tried to break away from him, but managed to gather it up. Just lost a little bit of time, and Miller's now got the gap to under a second. So Miller putting big pressure on here, but Johnny Cullen, the championship contender, just holding that gap to the leader Christian Zaruta to just so it's hovering around 6 seconds, just a little bit more than 6 seconds. So it's he hasn't lost any more time after that incident, but he really needs to start chipping that gap down if he possibly can. And Rob Miller getting very close now. Gap is now just 0.4 of a second, so Zaruta is just hampered a little. Now, will Zaruta, how will he play this one? Because he doesn't necessarily need to win this race.
No,
second is plenty good enough for him.
Yeah, absolutely. He could let Rob Miller go now and, give Rob the satisfaction of that final win, but we know what Christian's like. He's incredibly competitive. He's a perfectionist, and at the end of the day, if you're in with a chance of winning the final race of the season to take the title with it as well, why would you not go on and do that? But thinking about the bigger picture of the race, you wouldn't want to get in too much of a scrap and lose time by even faux defending, you know what I mean? He wouldn't want to compromise anything at this stage of his race, because you never know where you're going to be at later on and where the odd second here or there could add up, as we have side-by-side action in the AM class. I think is that Ralph Meyer and Alistair Hatcher right together, being a bit of a nuisance for one of the 963s. Hatcher now down the inside. Meyer tries to cut back across. One of the 11/10 cars going through there. That's Mark Baxter-Jones around the outside in the teal highlight machine. I'd love to see that Valent livery on the 963. I think it was Mark Baxter-Jones ran in the past. That would look absolutely unreal. But he now makes it through past these AM drivers and off over the horizon. Ralph Meyer now behind Alistair Hatcher, trying to chase him through Luffield. More traffic on the way though, in the form of Paul Goffin, as we go back to our leaders, and Zaruta I mean, it looks like he's under pressure. It looks frantic, doesn't it, this chase from Rob Miller? This is great stuff by Rob.
Yeah, but knowing Tsuruta, he just loves a scrap. He loves a race. This is what he comes for, is the competition. And yeah, he might not be able to resist this, but Rob Miller, he's got no championship axe to grind at all. He can throw everything at this, trees or trophies, for Rob Miller. To use a rallying term. But Tsuruta, he's different though. He's got to get this championship done and have that discipline. And also, I wonder if the one-stop strategy may have gone out the window as well for Tsuruta. Whereas Cullen, is that maybe his best play now? If Cullen's thinking, right, I can't catch him on pure pace, maybe I've just got to do huge fuel save a stop, even if I'm giving away lap time, and hope that it's enough to jump them at the end of the race.
Yeah, you never know. I think he has to roll the dice. He has to roll the dice with where he is now. He's not on track. Well, he's not in an on-track position to challenge these guys immediately. So he may as well just play the game now. He knows it's a bigger picture. And we've seen him work wonders on the strategy before. I mean, go back to what feels like about 7 years ago now, but the start of this season, our first race with these Porsche 963s at Daytona. There's a drama for Lewis Archer. You don't want to be doing that, sunshine. Flying over the curb, reverses and gets out of the way. But we've seen Cullen work strategies before. It hasn't always worked out completely, but he's been the one to roll the dice. He's been the guy that's been gutsy enough to try something when the race hasn't completely gone his way. I think this is the best time for him to do it, but with Chris Byram all over the back of him, maybe not the easiest of circumstances here. Hopefully he doesn't get in a little fight here with Chris Byram and scare his mum. But look at that, they are on a track that almost looks completely barren, aren't they, Peter? Nobody around them for miles.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, Cullen with Byron right in behind him. And again, that's probably not an ideal situation for Cullen. He probably just wants to get his head down here. But if the big fuel save game is the play, then you could use Byram to your advantage here if you're Johnny Cullen. You could just blend out of it and try and go on a major fuel save and make the most of it from there. Seen it done before here in the Group C days at Silverstone. Been some great Porsche wins over the year. My favourite though, it's got to be 1978, the 935/78, but much better known as Moby Dick, with Jackie X and Jochen Mass. They won by 7 laps here, over 1,000 kilometres. Thanks for coming. Yeah.
Yeah, nice try. Good game, everyone. Wow, 7 laps.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be much fuel saving going on there.
No, probably not. But I mean, like you say, what a legendary car as well, and what a duo. What a duo to win that race. I mean, you may as well have not turned up. Jackie X and Jochen Mass in that. Yeah, I'm all right. I don't think I'd ever want to go up against that. Good Lord, regardless of how old they are now, I wouldn't even challenge them now. But we have, of course, a big challenge here from Rob Miller, and he's not playing the fuel save game at all, is he? Wow, that was the number 16 machine of Alex Owen. And that was a big old send over the curbs, That's not going to do anything friendly to the floor pan of his 992 GT3R. You can see the skid marks of where he hit the curb on the way in, actually. It's like driving over a landmine. Oh, he's already lost the back, I think. It started to over-rotate.
That is British touring car style, that.
Yeah, that's Gabriele Tarquini and Alpha, that, isn't it?
Yes.
Epic.
Wow, fantastic. Not the fastest way around, but yeah, gives us great slow-mo, so thank you for that, Alex. It was selfless of you.
For your services to entertainment.
Yes. Getting towards the halfway point of this race, and of course, if we see drivers pit at halfway point or later, we know then that they're onto the one-stop strategy.
Very true.
If not, they've made their bed. It's 2 stops.
Yeah, unlucky, as we say. But wow, It's been a bit of a topsy-turvy race so far. So much going on at different points of the circuit. We look here at the battle for 9th position in the Pro class between Lewis Archer and Stuart Clark, who nearly goes diving into the back end of that 963. That was very, very close. But now, Lewis holds on to the position while Stuart gets back into the slipstream just behind these two, actually. In the background of shot, you could see the AM leaders, Drew Fletcher and Oliver Carwadine. It's great to see the two championship protagonists there. I mean, we've got 3 protagonists, really, but it's a lot more mathematically possible for Drew or Ollie to take the title here tonight. Lovely transition of shot there, Hugo, thank you. But there is your class leader at the moment, Drew Fletcher. He's had a hell of a turnaround to his season, though, to be fair, hasn't he, Peter? Because he had quite a bit of bad luck in the middle of it. And a few points, well, a lot of points dropped. Obviously, no points from round 6. But a couple of victories along the way to really recover it. So if he does turn it around tonight, it'll be a hell of an achievement, because Carwadine has been as consistent as ever, hasn't he? That's why he's still up there at the top. And it seems like the 11/10 boys are good at that, because, I mean, Mark Baxter-Jones led the championship for a while and he didn't even win a race.
Yeah, he did, and unfortunately, I met a drop round 2 weeks ago when there was some form of sporting event going on. I don't know if that's why. I actually don't know if that's why Mark Baxter-Jones has actually why he missed it or not. Not sure, but I presume it was due to the soccer. big wiggle again from Miller and from Tsuruta there as they make their way through traffic, asking for the power. You get the big spike of power and torque going through the rear wheels, and the car just shaking its tail in protest. But Miller is not letting Tsuruta away with this. But what are they doing fuel-wise as we approach that halfway point?
And Johnny Cullen is catching them hand over fist as well, by the way. He was a lot further away from them previously, and now, well, 4 seconds. Actually, no, it was about that, wasn't it, earlier? I do apologise. I thought it was about 9 seconds earlier, because I thought it was what we call an interval rather than the gap. So I thought he was 4 seconds off Byram and then 5 seconds off the cars ahead, but he's still 4.2 from the leaders. So he's in a similar window to where he was before. It's not really losing time, though. I will correct myself as well. Mark Baxter-Jones actually won the 2nd round of the championship, but he's been on the podium 4 races running after that, and then not scored any points at round 7 because he wasn't there. So it's been an amazingly consistent season, really, from Baxter-Jones when he's been here. Big point scorer, but unfortunately, it's not looking like he's going to be able to take the title with how it is right now. His teammate, though, Oliver Carwadine, in the AM class, leads the championship coming here. Let's not forget Heinz Meyer as well, 3rd in this race, 3rd in the championship, 1 point behind Drew Fletcher. But at the moment, he's 14 seconds down on the lead, so he's got a lot of time to make up as Tsuruta goes down the inside of Andrew Shepherd. Rob Miller, he's looking more and more urgent all the time, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah. Yeah, he is indeed. So Christian Tsuruta, his gap back to his championship rival has just reduced slightly. Johnny Cullen's now back to 4 seconds, so he's taken a couple of seconds out Tsuruta through the last little while. And through they go. Now, first of our takers for a pit stop, Lewis Archer going for the 2-stop strategy, then coming in for fuel and tyres. You can put tyres on while the fuel is going in. It should be just enough time to put 4 tyres on if you want to. To ride with Rob Miller, right in behind Tsuruta. Tsuruta goes to the inside, going past one of the Oris Digital cars. No problem at all. And that gap stretching back out again. Cullen now back to 4.7 seconds away from this front 2. Another problem. Oh dear. Alistair oh my word. Oh dear.
It was Alistair Hatcher with Cullen, wasn't it, as well? That was the issue earlier on. Cullen, you could see flashing lights in the background. He's going to have seen all that going on just up the road. And he's thinking, ooh, potential for some freebies here, gentlemen. Although he's lost a bunch of time himself, actually. He's dropped about 0.4 of a second in the first corner alone. I think he, too, got caught up behind some traffic. Rob Sharp is the next car in front of him, which is another one of the pro cars, one of the 963s. You can see just in the background there, he's trying to get past Rob, who's trying to get past Hatcher. So it's all go. And there's been some very, very bum-twitchy moments, hasn't there, Peter? It's been certainly one riddled with, potential incidents as Chris Byram now flashing the lights at Rob Sharp, saying, go on, Rob, get out of the way, sunshine, you're a lap down on me. Rob saying, sorry, old chap, you go through. Didn't realise that was you, sorry. Despite the Chris Akabusi tracksuit. But yeah, there's been a lot of potentially championship and race-defining moments already, hasn't there, really, when it just comes down to traffic?
Yeah, and that has been a case all season, and really in any multi-class racing championship. The way that you handle the traffic is such an important attribute. It's right up there with your actual ultimate pace, is how you get through the traffic. Tsuruta on the headlight flashers to let the car in front know he's coming by, and now Miller gets on to the back of him, very close now as they come through the club chicane. Cullen, he got close, he got to actually within sort of 3.5 seconds. It's now back up to just over 4 seconds, the gap now. So we tiptoe our way towards half race distance, and that's where, why is that critical? Well, if you can get past that half race distance, then you only need one stop to get to the flag. If it's before, well, then it's going to maybe need that one tiny little splash and dash. Tell you what, Chaz, it's going to be the tiniest of splashes if it is a second stop.
Yeah, they're literally just going to have to get a spray bottle and just spray some fuel on the car, and that'll be enough to get it to the end, won't it? It's going to be barely any point in coming in. But they'll have to just give it a gentle misting of fuel, I think, and kick it on its way down the pit lane. The 11 tenths guys are in. Johnny Elia and Mark Baxter-Jones on our screens there. As on the top of your screen, you see Rob Miller, who's been really fortunate through this traffic. You know, Tsuruta's been the spearhead to catching up with a lot of these lap cars and has had a mighty difficult time of it, while Rob Miller's just sat there and watched it all go. And he's been doing a great job of maintaining the pace as well. As they go through Maggots and Beckett's once more, they're now catching the AM class leaders here at this part of the track. Let's see what happens here. Tsuruta to the right-hand side. Great respect that by Carwadine. And look, Drew Fletcher moving over to the left as well. Rob Miller well in the slipstream. Don't think he's going to try and move or anything, or is he? No, he's just going to sit behind. He's playing the game. He's a clever bloke, is Rob. And the two of them stuck together once again. But in most cases, 90% of the time, we've seen that the lap traffic, the AM drivers have been really clean, really respectful. They've gone out of their way to jump out of the way of the 963s, haven't they? They don't always have to because of the speed difference, but realistically, through the majority of the season, it's been fantastic between the two classes. Really clean stuff.
Yeah, it's been superb, hasn't it? It's been really superb all, and that's what you will come to expect from the Porsche Club of Great Britain. 8 seasons that we've raced now since the summer of 2020, and how far the championship has come. Into the pits then comes Heinz Meyer from 4th position. Ryan Penny also in from 5th place then. And it's interesting, the pits here, the way that these wing pits are, you actually are cutting quite a bit of the track away, so the actual time lost for a quick splash and dash isn't massive. So it's going to be interesting how that plays out. If you do save a pit stop, is it going to be as much of a benefit as it would be elsewhere?
Yeah, this is the thing. You've got to maintain the balance, haven't you, throughout the race? You've got to think about so many different elements in an endurance race. It's not down to just kicking the car's head in at the highest pace you can for 20 minutes or even half an hour. There's a much bigger picture to consider, where you can take or save time in the overall, well, race distance. Obviously, it's all about who takes the shortest amount of time to get there. And if you can shave a few seconds off in any way, these guys will find a way to do it. A lovely shot there from the eye line of Rob Miller as he chases down the very, very pretty race-leading car, the 963 in the Manti livery. Certainly something that we would love to see in the flesh, but then again, iRacing does such a good job of these cars, and the drivers do, or whoever paints them does such a good job of the liveries, that we won't really gain anything by seeing it in real life, because it is that fantastic in the sim. Don't get me wrong, I'd still love to, just in case it ever happens, but right now these pair pretty evenly matched, I was just about to say, but in that first sector there, Saruta's opened up a gap.
He has,
Do you think he knows that he needs to come in this lap and now he's really kicking on with it? Do you think he's been saving fuel?
Yeah, it could be. Could be. He might just get to the point where the fuel delta is showing him that no, it's not gonna happen. GT cars in prior to that 25th lap. So that's Drew Fletcher, Carbadine and Such all coming in now short of that halfway mark. So one would think then that they cannot get home on one stop.
No, they definitely won't.
That's interesting.
And they won't save enough either in the second stint. You'd have to save 3 laps. But look at that. As there's still barely any gap between the two of them leaving the pit lane. Drew Fletcher still in front of Carwadine, but not by a huge amount. Carwadine, if he has just a couple of decent laps here as outlaps, could get back in the slipstream. Interesting to see that first few laps where he was in slipstreaming range hasn't saved him anything at all. It's not saved him a lap anyway. Sure, it could have been a few tenths of a second, as even if you save, half a litre over the car in front, it may not be an entire lap. It may still add up come the end of the race, as in comes our race leader, Christian Tsuruta. Rob Miller in second place. And does Johnny Cullen come in as well? He does not. Interesting indeed.
Very interesting. So, Johnny Cullen then, if he can get to the end of lap 24, he gives himself a fighting chance of getting home without having to stop again. Here, right now, Tsuruta and Miller, they don't, I wouldn't say they have a chance from where they are, but Cullen gives himself at least a slither of an opportunity, because he has to go a lap longer than he did in stint 1, but it's possible as Miller's going to win the race on pit road. So Rob Miller just underfuels, I think, a little bit. Let's see what time they spent in the box. It's not quite come up yet. 26.6 in the box for Rob Miller, 28 for Tsuruta. So Tsuruta's got more fuel on board, or maybe had used more fuel. Maybe Rob Miller had been saving hard.
Yeah, so it hasn't taken as long to fill it back up all the way. So Miller has managed to use that slipstream and use his position following Christian Tsuruta to then get back out in front of him. He's not jumped in by a massive amount, but at the end of the day, it's down to the mental position of being in front of the other guy. Tsuruta putting in all that work through that stint, only for Rob to emerge out of the pit lane in front of him. You could say he's been robbed. But now he's coming straight back at him down the inside into Copse. I wasn't expecting that. That came out of nowhere, but that's the sort of decisive maneuver that we've seen from Christian Tsuruta that wins him races. Doesn't get it done this time round, but he's making his intentions clear right off the bat here, Peter. He is not hanging about, and he's not saying, you know what, Rob, yeah, I'll do the same. I'll sit behind you. He's saying, no, have some of this. I'm not happy about that. I want my race lead back.
Cullen's going to complete 25 laps.
He is, because he's not come in.
No.
That's outrageous.
So Cullen is back in this motor race.
Very much so, yeah. Very, very much so.
So he can, if he can do it once, he can do it again. So Cullen wasn't exactly dropping like a stone. The time that he lost during that altercation with Alistair Hatcher, he did not lose any more time from that moment on. So Cullen can do that stint, whereas Miller and Tsuruta cannot. So that's going to be fantastic to see which is the right strategy. Is it flat out at the front and one little splash, or is it one stop and save fuel all the way? So, I'm leaning towards the latter. Do you know, Chaz?
I'd agree. I really would. And let's not forget that there's 4 points between finishing in first place and finishing in second place. There's currently 3 points between Johnny Cullen and Christian Tsuruta in the Drivers' Championship, which would mean, of course, that Johnny Cullen would win back-to-back titles. I think the only time we've ever seen that was good old King Hippo, wasn't it, back in the day?
The King Hippo. And Jacob Toft's
yes.
Porsche Sprint Challenge ace, Jacob Toft's
Yes,
Yes.
he did do that, actually. I forgot about that.
Quite an illustrious list of champions. And you look at they all, with the exception of our beloved King Hippo, Ryan Parkins, they've all got a little bit of real-life track experience. And Tsuruta with Caterhams, Jacob Toffs with Formula Fords and Porsche Sprint Challenge. So very, very interesting. So Cullen into the pits then at the end of lap 25. So he has got to that halfway point, meaning that if he was able to run at the same fuel burn rate, he can get home without having to fuel again. And we know it's a lap count race, it's not a time count race like some of the other races in this season. So he knows exactly the distance he's got to travel, so the same fuel burn rate, the same fuel delta on his dashboard, he can do it without another stop. Is that going to be enough to beat Miller and Tsuruta?
I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to see. He's out of the pits now, and he's going to be 20 seconds back. I think he saved what? He was 31 seconds ahead earlier.
Now interesting. Johnny Cullen spent 40 seconds.
Yeah, he was there longer, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Byron was 41. So I see what's going on here. So Cullen is going for the fill it to the brim and do one stop, whereas Miller and Tsuruta, they knew they weren't going to make it. So they've decided, okay, we short fill,
yes,
we save a bit of time, and then we know it's just going to be a splash and dash at the end anyway. Risky. I think actually Cullen's is the least risky, as Ryan Penny, while trying to pass Alistair Hatcher, gets it looped around. Well, not quite looped around, a sort of half loop. Oh, that's the full loop though. That hurts. Hope he's taken out the collision damage waiver.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Boy.
Only an extra $2,500.
Yes.
Oh,
he's like, I asked for a Porsche 963 or similar.
Yeah. The Porsche 962. Do you know how long it was until? Well, it was only a few days ago that I realised that it was literally 962, 963, like a continuation of the legendary prototype. And I'm ashamed to admit that right now, but I'll be honest with you, it only clicked recently. And I'm ashamed of myself. Anyway,
there you go. Every day's a school day.
It is. But Tsuruta pushing right behind Rob Miller right now. This is, I was going to, the commentator's curse fell out then. I was going to say Rob Miller has been a lot more in control than we've seen him before. Not that he's ever out of control, but you know what I mean. He's had those little flashes of inconsistency, tiny mistakes that have just unsettled a really solid race long run for him. That's really sort of darkened his season, because his pace has been absolutely incredible, just like these guys at the very sharp end. Right out the gates as well, he was up there. And this is a fantastic display from him, head-to-head with Christian Tsuruta. It's awesome to have this lead battle as well, separated by 2/10 after 26 laps of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. And these guys are going great guns at each other. This is awesome.
That's fantastic. They've just duelled away all race long, and thing is that Tsuruta, he won't want to take the risk to finish third and hope that he finishes ahead of Cullen. He'll want to make sure that this is definitely in the bag, because if he finishes second, it's in the bag, it's done. But to finish second, he's got to get past Miller. But remember though that Tsuruta took a little bit more fuel than Miller did at the last stop. So
yes,
at the moment, he might just be shadowing Miller, saving some fuel where possible, and then hoping that then he will just jump Miller in the final stop, their little tiny splash and dash.
Yeah, he's got to really hope that he can do this one way or another, but he's looking pretty impenetrable at the moment, is Miller, with this pace. Tsuruta's not been able to find a way through, and to be honest, it's not often that we say that about Christian Tsuruta. We've seen it in the final laps of previous rounds of the championship, that he will always find a way through and make up a place. but this time round, he's not been able to do it just yet. Lap 28 out of 50 here at Silverstone for the final round of Season 8 of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship. And this is the battle for 9th. Look at these lot. Johnny Elia, Mark Johnson, Rob Sharp and James Cummings, 4 absolute stalwarts of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship, all head-to-head in 963s. It's fantastic to watch. Rob Sharp goes down the inside. Cummings is going to go around the outside now through the final corner. Lovely move. Mark Johnson says, you know what, I don't want any of that, thank you. And Cummings slides on by. I think Mark maybe, especially with that, maybe his confidence a little bit knocked in the car after the previous lap, because all it takes is just one spin, isn't it, Peter? And you have to sort of take a few laps just to get a bit more confidence back in the car and feel like you can really push it again.
Yeah, it does just upset the rhythm a little bit, doesn't it, when you get a little mistake like that. Saruta through then. So what's happening? Miller's got a slowdown penalty. Slowdown penalty then for Rob Miller. Oh, that is just not the time, not the place, not now for Rob Miller in the 999. So what's happened there? He stepped over the track limits at some point, so much so that he has been issued with an iRacing slowdown penalty, which means you actually have to slow down and give a certain amount of time back before you can get back to full pace again. So that just allows Saruta to make a break for it, and we may well see some hot party mode laps here from Saruta to try and break the toll from Miller, try and break away and control this race from the front. He's got 25 seconds back to Johnny Cullen, who's his championship rival, and Miller was unlucky there. Miller was really unlucky. He just got hung out to dry, and he had to go off the road and got the slowdown penalty for it. That was very, very unlucky for Rob Miller.
Yeah, it's a huge, huge shame, just down to the circumstances of multi-class racing, unfortunately. But that's definitely a commentator's curse, I think, as well, mixed in there with all of that, because we were just saying before, or I was anyway, I'm not going to throw you under the bus, Peter. I was saying earlier how much it's been a solid race from him. No tiny mistakes, nothing to really upset it. But that is all it takes to change things up. We'll see what Christian Saruta can do now at the very front of the pack. There's Andrew Shepherd in the GT3, just ahead of the likes of Johnny Elia, Rob Sharp and James Cummings. It's getting a lot darker now as well, Peter. The headlights will be on before we know it. Sun definitely setting. There's a lot of heavy cloud off to that side of the circuit as well. Don't think there's any threat of rain or anything for this round of the series. But it's definitely British weather, isn't it?
Yes, it's just going a little bit dark and gloomy, isn't it, at the moment here at a virtual Silverstone. Kind of grey evening in the no, it's Northamptonshire. Yeah, in the Northamptonshire countryside, close to the village of Toaster. not where the bread warming device was made, I might add.
Oh, is this a change for the lead in the AM class?
It is.
It is. That's Oliver Carwadine getting in front of Drew Fletcher down the start-finish straight. Drew's got a slowdown. Drew had a slowdown as well. He was not at full chat through there. He was giving time back. So that's two classes, both classes, within a lap have had their race lead relinquished because of a slowdown penalty in the final sector. Unreal. Unreal stuff. Nobody is immune. That's the thing.
No, it can go wrong at any point. Nobody is safe. Alistair Hatcher in for a pit stop then. Now, has he already been in the pits? Yes, he has. He's done 6 laps. So that's an odd one for Alistair Hatcher to be coming in now. So he will have been forced in to repair damage or something. So not so good there for Alistair Hatcher. Meanwhile, the battle rages on between Rob Sharp, Johnny Elia and James Cummings. Cummings just a little bit off colour after a good qualifying. He's maybe not quite running down, well, of course, running a bit further down the order after that big incident at the start of the race. Still on the fight back. He's 1 minute and 19 seconds back on the leader, Christian Saruta.
Yeah, this is An interesting race so far that can twist and turn very, very quickly. We've seen a lot of that already, just tiny, minute details really unsettling the drivers and changing how the sort of, I can't even think of the word, the sort of course of the race is going for them. There's a lot of different pages and stories. But it's been very, very busy and very exciting so far. Really enjoyed this one, and the endurance format, I don't know, it's got a lot more charm to it, hasn't it, the endurance racing, because it's rather than just flat out pace, the drivers have got much more thinking to do. And it won't be long until we are crowning ourselves 2 champions here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship.
Yes, and will we have a defending champion reclaiming the crown, or will it be Tsuruta taking it back after a season being second best to Johnny Cullen? That's been Cullen and Tsuruta. We've seen so many great battles between them. The last 2 rounds we've had last lap battles between the pair. It's been fantastic to see. And Cullen's not down and out yet. If he can save that pit stop, how much time will he save? That is the question. At the pit stop transit time, around 25 seconds. Look at the gap, 28 seconds. It's not absolute science, of course, but that's just transit time. That's without a splash. So maybe you need, I don't know, 3-4 seconds of fuel, maybe a bit more than that. So it's very, very tight.
It really is. There's tiny margins, and the thing is as well, you can gain and lose 3 seconds on a poor pit entrance or exit, and even in the box as well. You know, if you miss your box and overshoot and have to reverse a couple of inches or so, then yeah, you can throw all of that away. So this is what it could all come down to in the championship, and that's what's been so exciting in this entire season. We've had lots of it. As we ride on board now, James Cummings throwing it up the inside of Rob Sharp into Stowe. Rob almost boxed in there with the lap traffic on the outside. One of the Oris Digital cars. I believe that was it Ralph Meyer, or was that actually Heinz Meyer in 3rd position that he was getting by there? Cummings recovering after his earlier issues. As into the pits there, Mark Baxter-Jones. That's intriguing. Now, why on earth is he in at this point? That seems very, very out of sync. Or is he one of the ones that's short fueled and now he's going to fill it all the way up? Let's have a look. His pit stop time was 22.8 seconds that time round. So, I think maybe because he knows that that's all he needs to the end now, he's sort of topped it back up again. So he hasn't run it all the way down. He's just gone, right, how much until I need to put in enough to get to the end of the race? You know what I mean? I'm not sure if I've explained that right.
We got there somewhere.
We will. We'll find out at the end. We can speculate all we want.
So 17 laps to go then in this season finale of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship, with some big prizes on offer up and down the field, both for the Pro and the AM classes. Great prizes as always, thanks to the wonderful folks at Porsche Centre Chester. If you're in the market for a new Porsche, first of all, lucky you, and second of all, get yourself down to Porsche Centre Chester. Go and speak to Carl and the gang. First place in class gets a Porsche wallet, which comes with its own inbuilt babe magnet. Second place, a £60 voucher. Third place, a £40 voucher. We also have the Commentators Award. Now, we won't reveal it yet, Chaz, but you've got a few ideas in mind for our Commentators' Choice Award?
We do, yeah. What we tend to do each season is we don't always try and give it away to people that are like the top 3 in a championship, because they get prizes anyway, and we like to try and, you know, share the love a little bit further down the order and show the appreciation for drivers that may not be right at the sharp end. And it depends on drivers that we've seen before in previous seasons that have improved or really stood out to us based on their past performances, you know, that have really gelled with the car or put in a very good drive, for example. I mean, one of the stories for this season would be that, you know, Drew Fletcher turns this around if he gets the title, or Oliver Carmody makes his return again, because I think was it last season he had a patchy season where he didn't race every race, or he missed a bunch of them. But either one of them has had an amazing campaign. But if they win the title, they're already on their way to a big prize. So there's drivers up and down the order that we have to look at. And to be honest, I mean, you and I have worked with these drivers for a long time now, Peter, 4 years. As of this month as well, actually, 4 years. And we know the characters themselves very well, and we know who's who and how they've developed. So it makes it a little bit easier for us. But at the same time, everybody does such a great job that it also makes it really difficult for us too.
It does. Yeah, it's trying to, and then it's, you always think, oh, they deserve it. Oh no, they won it last year. We can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're showing our work in here, aren't we, Chaz? We're giving away all the secret. There's also the Clean Drivers Award, which is a new award given to the driver with the lowest number of incident points across the season. So incident points handed out by the iRacing system. If you break track limits, you get 1 incident points. If you spin, 2. If you hit somebody, or if someone hits you, it's 4. So there are a few drivers who got their eye on that. That is a VRS subscription, 1 for Pro and 1 for AM. So VRS, where you can get setup data and coaching, etc., data packs, what have you. So lots on offer for our drivers. But I think you want the Porsche wallet.
Like you say, built-in babe magnet.
Yeah, exactly.
Innit? Innit, bro?
Yes. But that will slap.
Yeah, that wallet slaps, mate.
that wallet is drip.
It is fat. For all the drivers' fat stacks. Oh,
yes. Mine's just full of receipts.
Mine's full of moths.
Oh!
Oh, no.
Oh, Mark Johnson's off. It's okay. We ticked the tyre cover box. It's fine. Oh.
Yeah. We didn't cover driving into a different territory, though. He was that far off the circuit.
Oi.
Whoa, that went around. A friend of mine does that as well when he sees things like that, Peter. He goes, oi. It's very entertaining.
Oi, 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 oi.
Oi, oi, oi. Not great from Mark. But that just shows you, again, we spoke about earlier on in the broadcast that these cars, these 963s, they're on rails until they're not, aren't they? They are absolutely glued to the road like slot cars. But then as soon as they go big time, and they will not give you any warning whatsoever.
They don't. No, it's yes, very binary, the grip on one of these
like
things.
That.
Yes,
Binary.
What does that make a rally car non-binary?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, move on. Carbonine leads in AM then from Drew Fletcher, right in behind. Oh dear. I mean, can you get cancelled if it's the last day of school?
I don't know, and I don't want to find out.
Saruta got Miller right on his case. Miller's done well to recover from that slow-down penalty. It was not really any fault of his own. He had to take avoiding action off the circuit, and it is an automatic system. It's very, very good, but it does have its slight drawbacks sometimes, and that was one of them there. But he is keeping Saruta honest, and it'll be a question of who wins that race off pit road, because you know that they are going to be coming in at a similar time and taking a very similar amount of fuel, but who is going to get it done?
It's been a bit topsy-turvy for the pair of them, though, but it's been great to see them stick together like this throughout it all, as Drew Fletcher now starting to put a bit more pressure on Oliver Carmody. Carmodine's just had one of his stablemates go through in the Porsche 963. The car behind these two is Alex Owen in car number 16. He's not in there for position with these guys, so they don't need to worry about him too much. They can just have their fight. But how cool is this? Top two in the AM Championship coming into this final round, both with massive respect for one another, fighting together on the circuit with just a matter of tenths of a second between them after 35 laps of racing. This is how close the championship is. Easily the closest season we've ever had in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship, and one of the most entertaining. This change to multi-class racing has been to thank for most of it, but It's just been awesome. The two cars themselves have been real superstars as well.
So Sharp and Cummings into the pits then with 14 laps left on the board. Sharp creeps into his pit box. Up on the jacks, Mark Johnson in there in the pits as well. In fact, I think that's him done. Mark Johnson parking up the Hertz Porsche 963. Question is, when do we see Tsuruta and Miller coming in? I would imagine they'll go right to the very limit of the fuel that they've got. So it's going to be just a handful of laps before the end.
I was just wondering as well, if Mark brings the car back early, does he get any money back?
Say again, sorry?
If Mark brings the car back early, does he get any money back from Hertz?
No, you never do. You never do. Have you ever had money back from a car company? No.
Although I must admit, actually, when I went, Carwadine's around. Carwadine's around in the first sector of the lap, and Drew Fletcher goes through.
Wow.
Well, there's a change for the lead. Very, very sudden one as Cullen flying through there. That was terrifying. I don't think there was contact. I just literally glanced at my timing screen and noticed that the car had stopped all of a sudden. And now Cullen going around the outside of Carwadine, so he's going to be on a compromise line through Luffield. He's going to be fuming regardless of the circumstances and having to get his head back in the game now. But that changes the championship once more and puts it back in the favour of Drew Fletcher. Here's another look. Thank you very much for Hugo getting us the replay very quickly. It's just on the downshift. How many times have we seen that? Great avoidance from Drew as well, because it's really easy to stack it into you there. But that's just part and parcel of the Porsche, I suppose, isn't it, Peter?
It is. Yeah, it's still a rear-engine car, so you can get that. But by my reckoning, Carwadine's second place would be good enough, because he's got a lead of 4 points.
There's 4 points between the top two positions. And on countback, Drew would get more wins.
Oh, okay. So yes, he does have to. Oh my word, this could turn around. Rob Miller in with 12 laps to go, so he's going off strategy from Tsuruta. Car up on the jacks, tyres going on. So interesting stuff here from Rob Miller. He's taking a different tact. He knows it's going to be a two-stopper, as it is for Tsuruta. Fuel going in. Should be enough time to get those 4 tyres on. It's still up on the jacks, still fuel going in, and off he goes. So he's timed that one pretty well, and I think is that then Miller going, okay, if we're going to fill up, if we're going to have to stop again, we might as well get some new boots while we're at it.
Yeah, I think if you're going to go for it in the final stint, you may as well have the rubber underneath you to be able to put those fast lap times down, have the car at its ultimate best. Rob Miller not in a shout of overtaking anybody on the circuit at this point, which is good for him because he doesn't want to shimmy about and battle other drivers. Chris Byram in front of him, actually, I suppose will be on older tyres, so maybe on this lap it might make a difference. But the main thing for Rob now is that he's in slipstream on his outlap, so straight away he's going to get helped along. He's going to get the toe off the car in front. May only be a tiny helping, but it's very likely that that's more than what Christian Tsuruta is going to have on his outlap. He's just come into the pits right now from the race lead with just 12 laps to go.
Yeah, Tsuruta's covering it off, I think. Tsuruta's just matching what Rob Miller's doing. That's clever. So Tsuruta just come in, fill up, and go. Of course, they kind of under-fueled as well, didn't they, at the first stop?
Yeah.
Tsuruta and Miller. So, filling up the fuel then, new tyres going on.
Now, where's Cullen?
Yeah, no. 10, this is going to be tight. This is going to be very tight. Tsuruta's still up on the jacks. Here comes Cullen then. He's going to come around the final into the first corner. Cullen's going to jump them. Cullen is going to jump Tsuruta. He's gone by. So Cullen is into the lead. Oh my word. So Johnny Cullen goes through then. Tsuruta is filled up to the end of the race and has new tyres. Cullen is on the tyres that he fitted 14 laps ago and should have enough fuel to get to the end of the race. He managed to do 25 laps on the first stint. Why not? In fact, 25 laps and a tiny bit. Of course, there's the parade it's not even a full pace lap. It's like a sort of parade sector, if you like. But still, there is a tiny dribble of fuel required to do it. So the question is now, can Tsuruta run down Cullen? Does he need to? Not really, because Rob Miller's now kind of not out the picture, but he's 3.5 seconds back from Tsuruta now, and he's behind Chris Byram, Chris Byram does need to pit though.
Yes, Byram needs another stop.
He's kind of in no man's land here as well. But he could be a real impediment for Rob Miller. If Rob Miller gets stuck behind Byram, then that could be critical as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the key things here that's going to change this for Johnny Cullen and potentially make life easier is the fact that it's on laps rather than a timer. So he can't get unlucky if it was like an hour-and-a-half long race that was timed. He doesn't have to estimate how many laps there will be. He knows exactly how many laps he's got to do of this circuit. There's not going to be one less or one more based on where a timer is. So that makes it a lot easier to do the maths for him. Doesn't mean that it's easier to fill it up and save the fuel to get it done, because he's still got to drive the thing and wheel it around and match that fuel number. But at least he knows what the figure is, and that figure is not going to change based on how long the race is. So we're on the 40th lap out of 50 now, just 10 to go. It's only going to be about 20 minutes, not even that actually. And this race is still, I'd say, Peter, wide open in both classes here. There's only 8 tenths between Drew Fletcher and Oliver Carwadine. They're going to be close to doing a one-stop, I think, because the GT3 cars, they were coming in on what, laps 23 and 24? I think we saw those guys coming in, but they could potentially try and save fuel in this middle stint. Not sure if they'll be able to do that. So anybody could win either class at the moment. Still a lot to go.
There is. Yeah, a lot left on the table. And Carwadine and Fletcher, that's effectively then just a shootout. Whoever finishes ahead wins the AM Championship between Fletcher and Carwadine. So Fletcher holds on to it for now with 10 laps to go. That's not what we want to see. It's a little blip of the internet connection. Let's not have it decided by that. Let's have a clear fight between the two. As Lewis Archer nearly gets caught up behind him, but Carwadine looks pacey here. He looks really strong, but does he have enough to get through on Fletcher? And Fletcher's just got a little bit unsighted there as Archer coming through in the prototype. And Carwadine, he fancies this, and he's going to throw everything at it to try and win this championship, you'd have to think. Again, he's going to channel his inner rally driver sitting on the start line and says to his co-driver, "Trees or trophies?" ? And before an answer can come in, he's already off.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, I think you're right though. Carwadine is going to throw everything at this. He knows that he has to finish in front of Drew for it to work. If Drew finishes there on countback, he will be okay. I was looking at the points and trying to figure it out, because obviously we have the feature rounds and the endurance rounds. Oliver won the very first race of the season. Drew gave it him back across the line, let's not forget, in sportsmanship after the contact that they'd had. Drew then won round 3 of the championship, round 5, and then round 7. He has missed a round. Oliver Carwadine has a drop score of 11, but he's been on the podium in the last 4. He's been second, first, second in the last 4 races. So it's very, very close. Let's have a look at the lap times as they head around the final corner. Last time, Drew was 0.2 of a second slower, 2:01.8 to the 2:01.6 of Carwadine. That's a much higher pace than we saw during qualifying, though, I think. 2:02.3. Oh, sorry, they were their best laps of the race. I apologise. 2:02.3 for Drew, 2:01.9 for Carwadine. So 4 tenths difference as Rob Miller has been around.
Oh, no. So maybe it's not going to be Miller time here at Silverstone.
Windy Miller. There's a throwback.
Yeah, that's more of a Wind Miller. Yes. Yeah, good one. I like that.
Thank you.
So,
what was that show called?
I have no idea.
Trumpton. I think it was called Trumpton. I'll find out. Anyway, yeah, Rob, unfortunately, after a really solid race so far, having a spin, it's easy to do that, though, isn't it? Again, we've said this car stuck to the ground until it's not. That looks scary for Carwadine there.
Yeah, it's Goffin just muscling his way through And now he's going to make a dive there on Fletcher. And this is going to give an opportunity now for Carbadine and the 14-11 tenths car to get a run on Fletcher as they head over the brow of the hill towards Maggots and Beckett's. And oh yeah, it's gonna go down to the wire there between Fletcher and Carbadine. Whoever comes out on top, they will be champion in the AM class. Meanwhile, in the Pro class, Cullen could be about to pull a race win out of the bag here with a very cunning strategy, but that is unlikely to be enough to win the championship. A second place for Saruta would be good enough.
That's got to be heartbreaking for Cullen as well. I was going to say his new nickname, Cunning Cullen, but you've got to be really careful in saying it.
But if you were saying that there's 4 points gap between first and second, though. Yes, no.
Wait, yes.
So
yes.
no, it would.
Yes, so it would be.
Rounds.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I apologise.
Between them. So yes, this is for the championship. Yes.
My point earlier was with Rob Miller up there. That if Cullen finished in second with Saruta in third, Saruta would still be champion. Otherwise, he has to be in front of him. Yeah.
Yes. So it's a straight shootout between Cullen and Saruta and Fletcher and Carbadine. Well, that makes things easier, doesn't it?
A little bit, yes. I mean, we've found our way around it somehow, but yes, it does. So apologies, everybody. But good news, it's not Trumpton, although Trumpton was made by the same people that made Camberwick Green, which is the song, the show that Windy Miller was from, the character. 1967, Trumpton was out. I don't know why I know that, but oh well. Heinz Meyer in the pit lane. So this shows us that the GT3 cars will definitely not make it all the way to the end. Intrigued to see whether either of these guys do, because Drew Fletcher has been losing a few tenths of a second a lap to Carbadine. Oliver's not been able to get through yet and find the right place to make the overtake. Well, Ollie's definitely had the pace over these last couple of laps. There wasn't much between them last time, but that's down to the traffic. So this could still go either way. This is, I mean, look at the lead gap now in the pros as well. 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge lap for Saruta. He was 6/10 of a second quicker than Cullen last time by. It's going to be a lot more than that this time. Is Saruta going to win another last lap nail-biter? We've seen it a couple of times so far in the last couple of races, and they've just been raising the pulse rates all the way through. So exciting between them, and looks like it's going to come down to that again. But can Carbadine overtake Fletcher here and pinch or seal the championship at the last moment? Fletcher, of course, came in 4 points behind, and to win on countback, goodness, that would be remarkable. That would be remarkable. So Saruta and Cullen last time by, so it was 6/10 of a second last time by between them, but it's definitely going to be more this time as they make their way through. And yes, for Cullen, a 146.4, 1.5 seconds quicker was Saruta last time by. So that sounds more like traffic to me, because that's a pretty steep drop off, which has kind of steadied out a little bit over the last sort of 30 or 40 seconds or so. So it's so close.
I'm so sorry.
Close.
I opened my phone and it's just started. Okay.
That beat is dripping.
It's dripping. I had a message through from Dan, and my Discord wasn't working on my PC for a second there. I thought I'd lost everything, so I opened my phone. All of a sudden, it starts playing sound. Okay, we're all good now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It scared the life out of me. I've gone all hot. As through goes Mark Baxter Jones down the inside of Paul Goffin. Oh, Paul had to make a little bit of an adjustment there on the exit of Stowe, just to make sure that there wasn't contact between the two of them. But what a race we've had here, Peter, to round out this season. This has been an absolute barnstormer. The weather's been typically British and absolutely awful, but this has been a real barnstormer. To have it not just go down to the final race of the season, but to go down to both championship protagonists in both classes, literally separated by less than a second each on track, with just laps to go, as Carbadine looks down the inside of Drew Fletcher into Stowe. This is as close as you can get. And what I'm just thinking now as well, Peter, as they come into the pits here, let's not forget that the leaders are on a 50-lap run. But these drivers in the AM class, getting lapped a couple of times, they won't need to complete 50 laps.
No, well, they're both on the same fuel strategy here, just straight in, and this will be who's going to win this race on pit road. They go to hit their marks. Carbadine hits his marks. Fletcher hits the marks. Fuel going in, no tyres. So just the fuel. Who's going to win the race off pit road? This is so tense. The revs go up, and it's exactly as they were. No change at all between Fletcher and Carbadine then. Meanwhile, game on in pro. It's the gap is coming down. Last time by, Tsuruta was 9/10 of a second quicker than Cullen. Cullen is trying to just make fuel on board that machine. He's having to fuel safe. He's on older tyres as well, don't forget. He's on, well, he's on 20-lap old tyres, whereas Tsuruta is on 6-lap old tyres. That's a big difference on the new iRacing tyre model. So Cullen is going to have to muster everything that he's got. He's going to have to dig so deep and in more GT traffic. And Cullen, well, he didn't take any chances there. He says, I'm coming through, so you can either turn in and we have an accident, or I'm coming through. And luckily it was the coming through.
That was a very Senna-esque thing, wasn't it? That you put your nose down the inside and leave the other guy to decide whether you're going to have an accident or not. That was very scary, and this is the thing, these tiny margins could all change the championship. But skip back 2 weeks, Peter, and then skip back 2 weeks beyond that. Both times we have had these two right together towards the end of the race, Tsuruta and Cullen right with each other, and it's come down to one move to seal the race. This time, it could seal the championship for either of them, whatever happens in these last few laps. This is all so important now. And doesn't this just highlight such a fantastic rivalry between these two drivers that we've had over the last 3 seasons now? On one occasion, we've had Christian Tsuruta take the championship in Season 6. In Season 7, it was Johnny Cullen that prevailed. They've both had a championship apiece, and now they are literally deadlocked coming into the last few laps of Season 8, and either one of them could take the crown. This is epic.
We couldn't ask for any more. We really couldn't. And can Tsuruta get this move done? He's clearly got the pace behind him in this latter part of the race. He was another 0.3 of a second quicker than Cullen last time by, so he's definitely got the pace, but he's got to pick his moment. They've nearly come to blows so many times. They've had so many great, close, firm, fair fights over the years. But who is going to claim that #1 plate, that champion status? Is it going to be Tsuruta, or is it going to be Cullen? It's Cullen who holds that #1 plate for now. Cullen's on the headlight flasher saying, really, we're coming through. This is a championship battle on. And this lap, Cullen is finding something deep down here to try and keep Tsuruta at bay as they come through towards the club chicane. It's going to be 4 laps to go at the line, so just around 7 minutes or so to take us to the end of the season.
And let's not forget as well that these guys in the GT3 cars, they're not going to have to do 50 laps, but they've already filled up the fuel. They wouldn't have made it to the amount of laps they needed anyway. But what you see on screen right now, everybody, is the battle for the Pro Championship and the AM Championship in 2 places at once as Tsuruta goes down the inside and there's contact. Tsuruta does contact, and then Rob Sharp into him as well. Rob Sharp makes contact with the #7 machine. Big damage to the front right, and that could have sorted it. That could have settled it.
Cullen,
it has.
I don't know, because Cullen still got to get. Cullen has still got to get to the end of the race. Remember, it's not guaranteed. He's going to be right on the limit with fuel, but that extra spin is one thing. So he goes for the inside. They touch, and round he goes. It was never on. It was never on. No. It was too far back, and nothing really Rob Sharp could do. So he goes for the switch. And to be fair, Cullen gave him some room. And yeah, it's way too late for Rob Sharp to be able to stop. Yeah. So yeah, that's oh dear.
It didn't look as bad from that second view, did it? Because he was alongside for a while, but he was from far back to begin with, wasn't he? It was way too risky for Tsuruta. The way he'd been catching him, he would have thought that he'd give it another lap or so. But wow, it's those split-second decisions. We've seen it all night, haven't we? Those split-second decisions can change everything.
Yep, and in the last couple of in the last couple of hand-to-hand battles, it's Cullen who's had to give best. But now it's going in the favour of Cullen. It's going his way as Alistair Hatcher just pulling back as the leaders in the AM class who are going for their championship as well. Fletcher versus Carbadine. Fletcher holding on to it for now as they come around Luffield. They've got just a couple of laps to go, depending on where the prototype leaders finish, of course.
Saruta's losing time, Peter.
Yeah,
he's losing time.
He's got damage. He's got damage. The question is, can Cullen get that? Can he get that car home without having to stop again? That's the question, because he's bound to have had to push a little bit harder with having Saruta on his back there. He would have had to take more risk.
Yeah.
So it's not done yet. It's far from done yet.
That is unreal.
Incredible.
I mean, the gap has fluctuated by about a second in the last half a lap, to be fair. It went up to 6 seconds. Now Saruta's got it down to 5.1. Now 5.0. So I'm not sure how bad the damage is, but I don't think it's completely race-ending either.
Well, it was a one. Let's see when he comes over the line for the end of this lap. Then we will know where it is. I don't think the last lap was entirely indicative. So the GT drivers bullying the prototypes out the way now. We're in the middle of a championship battle. Brilliant.
You can pay to get back in. Wow. Who's that? Baxter Jones, was it, going straight on there? Unreal. I mean, I think maybe a bit of that was out of respect from Mark, saying, you know what, boys, I'm in a place here to get amongst us, and I don't want to. He's down the inside of Drew Fletcher. Easy opportunity for an 11/10 car to be a missile for another one there. Wow. Not that they'd ever do that, but that was very close and very scary, wasn't it, that?
Yeah, and to be fair, Mark Baxter Jones giving plenty room to the GT leaders there. So lap and a half to go, and Saruta, all of a sudden the gap's down to 2 seconds. What? Saruta last time by 145.9, 149.2 for Cullen. So Cullen, I think, is running out of fuel. I think Cullen is having to soft pedal it home to try and urge that #1 car to get to the line without going down pit lane. As soon as he goes down pit lane, it's game over. So, oh my word, this is tense.
What race this is.
You think it's tense when you're playing Amber Fuel Light Gamble in your road car? Oh, can you imagine this?
Unreal. Absolutely unreal. This is the dream finale that we could have wanted here. We've got the battles on track, literally head-to-head between the championship protagonists in both classes, going head-to-head with each other. And sometimes in one class it's coming down to a potential fuel strategy. There's been contact between two of them, and the other two, these guys on our screen right now, have been locked together since the very start of this race. Both of them have led it. Both of them have done the same pit stop strategy, and there has barely ever been more than a second between both of them. We're still on lap 49 out of 50 here at Silverstone in the 8th season of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship, and still with less than 2 minutes of this race left to go, we have no idea who we're going to be crowning as champions in a moment's time.
No, not a clue. Absolutely not a clue. So, so tense, so tense. Should be 2 laps. Oh, we're on to the final lap.
Yeah.
Final lap then. So our leaders have gone through, and at the moment the gap sits at 2.2 seconds. It was a 144.8 for Cullen last time by, 44.5 for Saruta. Saruta a little quicker, but not by much. But the gap, has Cullen got enough fuel on board? There's Saruta, Cullen at the front of shot. And they've got, there's a big move going on here. Carbadine puts a wheel on Fletcher. Fletcher goes defensive at Luffield. And here comes Carbadine, going to try and get the cutback here as well. But Fletcher closes it off. And here comes our leader. Here comes the leader in the prototypes. He's on the headlight flasher severely. As they're going to go side by side, are they? No. But Saruta's coming onto the case now as well. Is he going to get held up by the GT leaders? Here comes Carbadine. He's going to hook it around the outside. Fletcher covers him off. Here comes Carbadine then.
You don't need to do it, Drew. You don't need to move over and squeeze him. I'm not sure whether that was down to the car being on the right, but don't forget, this is going to become their final lap here, Peter. This is going to be their final lap as well. Now they've been lapped by the leaders again.
It is, yep. So the leaders have come through. They're on to the hangar straight. They're nearly home. They're nearly home. Johnny Cullen is still holding on from Christian Tsuruta. Does he have enough fuel? Looks like he might do as they come round. Cullen's into the club chicane. You can almost push it home from here. One last squirt of the throttle will get him there. Johnny Cullen is going to steal it on the last lap from Christian Tsuruta. What a win from Johnny Cullen. And it's going to be Drew Fletcher. Drew Fletcher who comes and wins the AM class then. Goodness me. So both drivers who came in second in the championship are going to flip the table on the last day of the season. Wow.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable stuff. What a season finale. And you have to say, Christian's move down the inside is what changed that. Christian threw it up the inside to try a move. I'm not sure if he even just went late on the brakes, but he managed to make contact with the side of Johnny Cullen, and that dropped him down far enough for Cullen to then manage it from that point on. It was very nip and tuck there with Drew Fletcher and Carwadine. I wasn't sure whether he was just trying to stay over to the left because of the prototype coming through, but it was a scary, scary moment as the two of them made contact out of Copse. He didn't need to squeeze him all the way over, but I think he was just basically saying, look, you're not coming through. Don't know if he had the overlap or not, but Drew Fletcher is your AM champion of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship, and Johnny Cullen wins in the Pro Class. Incredible scenes, like you say, Peter, both of them coming into the final round second in the series and turning that gap around. That is remarkable.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. The best finish we've ever seen in the history of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing. No doubt about it.
I've not got words. That was just outrageous.
No.
What a finale. Epic.
So that's what it came down to. 3 seconds. Johnny Cullen, your winner, from Christian Tsuruta, pulling off a one-stop strategy to win. Tsuruta, I'm sure, will stew on that one for a while. Rob Miller, despite a few little spins and incidents there, comes home in third. Chris Byram was fourth. And then Mark Baxter-Jones came home in fifth. Then it was Paul Goff in sixth, Lewis Archer seventh, Johnny Elia in eighth. And then not finishing on the lead lap, Stuart Clark and Rob Sharp. Byron Crawford also finishing one lap down, with Cummings and Johnson retiring early. And then wow, what a story. That's all it came down to. 0.4 of a second. Fletcher from Carwadine. Meyer rounds out the podium with Kim Such in fourth and Ryan Penny in fifth. Ralph Meyer was sixth, with Andrew Shepherd in seventh, Alistair Hatcher in eighth, and Alex Owen finishing 8 laps down. Alex Jones not making it to the flag either. Well, what a dramatic finish to this 8th season of the Porsche Club of Great Britain. Our pro champion once again is Johnny Cullen, and he is with Chaz Draycott.
Johnny, what a night. What a night for so many people enjoyed that one. I can tell you that for free, mate. But we didn't know until the final moments who was going to take that championship. You must be absolutely buzzing to have pulled that one off.
Oh, yeah. It was... yeah, it's always dramatic, isn't it? It's never an easy race, but yeah, leave it to the last lap.
I was gonna say, cause we always say that you never make it easy for yourself, do you, mate? Flipping heck. You or Christian, neither of you make it easy, but wow, it worked out in the end. But what a race. I mean, it was still exciting, wasn't it, from where you were, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it was up and down and up and down. Going in, I was like 40% sure that the fuel strategy could work, but not convinced, and I just thought, we're going to roll the dice, see what happens, and paid off in the end.
And you joined sorry, go on.
Unfortunately, a little bit of net code there in the last couple of laps. Just looking at the replay now with Christian.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just a little bit, but it's a shame.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were talking through the race about the rivalry that you guys have had over the last few seasons, one championship apiece, and then it coming down to the finale here, where you are literally separated by nothing to see who can go twos up. And I mean, you join a great trio of drivers that have won 2 championships back-to-back, Ryan Parkins and Jacob Tofts as well.
Oh, wow.
Now
okay.
you are the 3rd driver to have done so, and that was
amazing.
I mean, it must be quite the honour, I imagine.
Well, it was exactly the same last season going in. If I won the race, I won the championship. If Christian won the race, he won the championship. And same this season as well. It's just all through the season, it's just been so close. You just couldn't call it. And up until Mark Baxter Jones had to miss and skip a week, he was, very, very, very in line to win it as well. So I thought we were going to be going into this race with a three-horse race.
Yeah, it's been an amazing season, because going from round to round, we've never been able to figure out who would come out on top, but still a very exciting one all the same. Is there any way you can potentially sum up the entire championship in a few words?
Exciting. Challenging. It's first time I've driven downforce cars, so that was a big learning curve. And the traffic was obviously another interesting curveball. So I think a lot of lessons to learn out of this season to take into the next one.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. Every day is a school day in the sim, and it's been an amazing campaign indeed, Johnny. But well done again, mate, from everyone here. And I'm sure everyone in the championship will be sending their congrats as well. And hopefully we'll see you in the 9th season of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship.
Absolutely. Well, thank you to Chaz and Peter for amazing commentary all through the season, and Andrew Shepherd and Paul Goffin for organising. And of course our sponsors, Porsche Club Great Britain, Porsche Centre Chester, Midas Simulations, and Devonshire Holiday Homes.
Nicely said. Always
did I get it right?
You did. You've made my job easier, Johnny. Thank you once again, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure, and well done. We'll go and leave you to enjoy the moment, mate. Enjoy it.
Thank you so much, guys. See you again. Bye-bye.
Understandably over the moon, Johnny Cullen there, Peter. Fantastic to hear it. But boy, what a roller coaster he made it.
That would be one way to put it, wouldn't it? Remarkable stuff. Well, from one champion to another, I'm sure the whole neighbourhood will be dining on pulled pork for the next week in celebration. Drew Fletcher is our AM champion, and let's hear his thoughts.
Drew, well, you must be buzzing, mate. I mean, it was a scary final lap there, but as we've seen in the Discord, Ollie, a fantastic sport as well with that one. You two have been at each other's throats all season, but with such respect. It must be amazing to come away as champion.
Yeah, it's incredible. Very, very few times I'm speechless, but yeah, pulled pork all around. Ollie is a very clean, hard racer, and some real pace. I don't know if I could have done another lap. I was struggling, but yeah, I'm speechless. Yeah.
And what was the plan going into tonight with the fuel and everything? Because I mean, we both know Dan McCauley, who's been helping you, and he was saying about one stop being possible because of the fact that you guys were going to get lapped a few times. You wouldn't have to do the full 50 laps. Was there an inkling that you would try to go for that strategy, or was that never in the back of your mind?
That was the original plan, to try and do one stop, but when I got out in front, I was looking down and just saw that I wasn't able to do that and keep that pace and keep him at bay. He was too quick for me to be able to try the one stop strategy. So then the plan was to hold him off. I was quite happy for a while, and then just one little mistake for the slowdown that let him past, and then a mistake from Ollie let me back through. So yeah, that was kind of how it went. And then obviously everyone was having a bit of a nibble. I was having a bit of a nibble at the end, and had a bit of traffic to contend with. So yeah, stressful.
I was going to say, it's been one of those seasons, hasn't it, where you never really knew who was going to come away on top, just like it was in the pro class. It's been ridiculously close throughout the entire championship, and it's exactly what you want in something like this, isn't it? The racing's been mega.
Yeah, I'm sure for everyone else, they want it to be that close and tight. For me, I would have been happy to stay out in front, but I felt the pace was there this season. Just a few work issues and silly mistakes just costing me middle of the season. But then I knew what I had to do the last couple of races, and yeah, that was the plan, the target. That was the only thing I was thinking about. So.
Well, it's been fantastic to see it, Drew, and obviously a hell of a tale for the sort of finale to have a turnaround winner from. But I mean, both of you from second in the championship to take the title in the last round of the series. What a story to come away with, and we obviously hope that you enjoy the moment, mate, and enjoy that. But will we be counting on seeing you in season 9 as well to defend the title?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love it here. I know that a few people know, but this really is an escape for me. Stuff sometimes is tough at home, and with that, I think I have to really say thank you to my wife, who, with everything that she goes through, she puts up with me going missing on the rig for quite a few hours in the week. So it's down to her really, and that's why I'm here, just to get away from it. But I will be there next season to try and defend. Thank you.
Well, we look forward to it, Drew, and hats off to you, mate. It's been a brilliant season, and we will we'll say goodbye for now and hopefully see you again very, very soon. But well done, mate. It's been fantastic.
Thank you very much. Pork's in the post.
Lovely stuff, Peter. Always entertaining, Drew.
I don't know how
Fletcher.
well it'll travel, to be honest.
No, not really. I'm more worried about ruining the envelope, to be honest. But yeah, it's a hell of a story, isn't it? I mean, we can see the moment right now. Look, it so could have easily been that car in the wall there on the right-hand side of our shot. But those two, like I said, they've been at each other all season, but it's been very respectful all the way through. And it's exactly what you want from a title fight, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We couldn't have asked for any more. Hard, clean racing, fantastic, really fantastic. Well, unfortunately, when you have winners, you have losers too. But we don't have any losers here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain, and
me.
And me, and we couldn't have. You can't have battles like that with one car. You've got to have two at least. And let's hear from our pro class runner-up, Christian Cerruta, who gave it everything the whole way through.
Christian, first off, commiserations, mate, for not taking the title this evening, but what an amazing battle you've had all season long with Johnny. It must be still really rewarding to have taken it that close to the line at the end of the season.
The double bogey evades us again by the skin of our teeth. Unbelievable. No, it's been mega this season, like really close. I don't actually think after the first few races I'll be able to get back, because we had the incident on the first lap at Monza, which meant I was kind of midfield, and then had to miss Spa because I was away with work, and then had the AM car take me out at Montreal. So yeah, I don't think there's more I could have done in that race. I gave that absolutely everything, especially those last 20 laps or so. I was really, really pushing. But yeah, Johnny and his bloody fuel-saving, crafty strategies has done me again. I can't believe it. And I knew he was going to do it as well. I should have. I was kind of doing my own fuel saving at the beginning, but I should have just gone for it like I normally do and gone flat out the whole race. I probably would have been a bit closer and given myself a bit more time to get past him, because there weren't that many laps left when I went for the lead. So but yeah, absolutely mega racing. Really enjoyed it. And there's always next time to get the double bogey. So.
Absolutely. Well, I was going to say, Christian, it sums up, your mindset and your approach at this really sums up the positive vibe here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship, because even coming away with the very tough result of not winning the championship and being so close, it's still such a positive racing environment, isn't it? There's great sportsmanship and respect between everybody.
No, I'm absolutely taking Johnny out on the first corner of the next. He's going down. Full Verstappen.
He's going down.
He's getting the full Verstappen treatment on the
Ooh. Jesus. I thought me and Peter were going to get cancelled tonight. Wow.
Oh, no. I'm only joking. 50%. Well, I really thought I deserved the win tonight after my qualifying start out the pit lane. I thought I deserved the win after that crafty pit lane exit in qualifying. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I don't massively recall it. No.
The beginning of qualifying.
Oh yes, when you went out of the pit lane. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we loved that. Oh, that's possibly one of my favourite moments of the season.
I thought that alone gave me was deserving of the championship.
If there's, I think I said something along the lines of audacity being on sale by the look of it, because that was, yeah. Me and Peter were both we were giggling about that for a good minute, weren't we, Peter?
That was that. I thought that was the championship done there and then.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
It's probably just karma bites me in the arse, to be honest. Being cheeky and then cocking it up with a few laps to go, but never mind.
You chose violence.
I always choose violence, Peter.
Well, it's been an amazing season, Christian, and obviously our commiserations for not taking the championship, but congratulations as well on such a fantastic campaign, and we look forward to seeing you once again in season 9, we hope.
Yeah, 100%. I will be here. Hopefully, Johnny will too. It's quite fun this racing malarkey, isn't it? So it's good to have someone there to have a good battle with. So I'm sure he'll be back as well. And 2-2, I think, is the next time around.
Well, we certainly look forward to it, Christian. Thanks very much once again for joining us, mate, and we'll see you in season 9.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Bye.
What a character Christian Tsuruta is, Peter. A real star. Always good to speak to him. And again, great respect between him and his championship protagonists.
Yeah, huge. It's great to see, isn't it? Well, we've got time for one more chat. Let's speak to Oliver Carbadine, who came home in second position in the championship, gave it everything he got. Let's see what he has to say.
Well, Ollie, I mean, talk about coming close, mate. Tied on points at the end of the season. It goes down to count back. You can't get much better than that, really, can you? What a season you've had fighting with all these guys in the AM class. It's been remarkably close.
Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating, but that's the way it goes. I think it's just been a brilliant season. I think we've had some cracking races. Tonight it's difficult because I think Drew has shown really strong form in the last, certainly at Kota and all of the races really. So he had the momentum, I feel, and all I could really do is kind of try and stick with him, maybe get him at the pit stops. Then he had a slowdown, so it was looking good at one point, but I had a half spin and that was it really. So I actually thought we had one more lap at the end, so I was saving a dive bomb, but
no way. Well, I was going to say, we sort of had the realization partway through that you guys weren't going to do the full 50 laps because of being lapped by the prototypes, and I think it was just a case of wrong place, wrong time with those guys coming through once more on that final circulation, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, it was just I was going into that last chicane thinking, oh, okay, well, I've got one more chance, but then I quickly realised it was game over. But no, it's been good fun. I think being tied on points is, great, and Drew deserves to win it because he won more races ultimately. So all good.
Well, it's been fantastic to see your usual consistency again, though, Ollie. It's one thing that you've sort of become synonymous with in this championship. Always a good point scorer, and it's been a pleasure to commentate on you again this season, and hopefully we'll see you again in season 9.
Yep, I think so, hopefully, and thanks to you and the broadcast in general and everyone that's involved in running the league. It's really good, so thank you.
It's our pleasure, Ollie. Thank you very much for joining us, mate, and we'll see you again soon.
Take it easy.
Cheers. Very gracious in defeat, these boys, aren't they? But like he said, tying on points, it's a great honour to have, isn't it? Tied for the championship, just on countback being the separation. It's both maybe a bit more frustrating for them being so close, but also, a big confidence boost for next time.
It is. It's fantastic. It's been amazing to see how they've battled it away with one another, and two two worthy champions in Johnny Cullen and Drew Fletcher. Well, truly a season for the ages in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship. We will be back for season 9 in due course. Keep an eye on the Porsche Club of Great Britain website for more information. But from us all here at RaceSpotTV, from myself, Peter Mackay, from my broadcast partner Chaz Draycott, and our producer Hugo Luis, thanks so much for watching, and good night.